Live from the Car Shield studio, this is the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Happy Friday to Brooke Grimsley and Danny Mack. I'm Randy Carricker. How we doing, kids?
I'm doing great this Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Big Blues win.
Oh, hashtag LGB and Thomas.
They are in it. They have a shot. So fans waking up this morning feel a little bit better about their St. Louis Blues, I would imagine.
I would imagine fans of the St. Louis Blues feel a little bit better than fans of the Kentucky Wildcats.
Oh, you had to bring that up. It's too soon, isn't it?
That was the fake it. Don't fake all like that, Grim Reaper.
After I was sending a bunch of memes
After you
about
were
Kentucky
dancing and banging
losing.
pots and pans last night.
Maybe I enjoyed it a little bit. Just a tad bit.
What was the line?
Which one, right?
The demise of Kentucky brings out the Tennessean in me or something like that.
No.
Very funny. I love it.
No,
funny.
you have more that I am happy about. Our new Cinderella story, even though they don't want to be called the Cinderella story, in Oakland, you have Golke. Who in the world is this guy? Where did he come from? And then you have Campy and what he's been able to do as the coach of Oakland. They're the Golden Grizzlies, right?
Yeah,
Golden Grizzlies.
And
Golden
I'm
Grizzlies.
so happy for those people after they lost the Warriors and the Raiders, and now they're going to lose the A's.
We get it, Randy. Yeah, I got it.
Different area.
Oakland.
Have you ever been there?
Oakland?
No, the one in Michigan. It's awesome.
There's an
beautiful.
Oakland in Michigan?
Well, I think that's where they're from. Are they not?
Oh.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are.
I was doing Missouri
mind.
basketball, and we did a game against the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. I met Greg Campy. I talked to him before a game. After a game, he was delightful to be around.
He didn't lock you out of his office?
He did not. John Calipari did when we were doing a Kentucky game with ESPN. Yeah, he locked us out because he was upset about some report and then let us back in and said, okay, I proved my point. Come on back in. We were all laughing about it. He was great to deal with, too. It's interesting. I mean, Calipari has now had a situation where he hasn't made the tournament, first round out, second round out, and now a first round out. And you know Kentucky basketball fans are going to be all over him. It's a different situation there, but his buyout is $33 million. It's not quite like football, but as we were talking before the show, this is Kentucky basketball, so it's a different animal.
Kentucky was one of the teams that was upset yesterday. They fall last night. 80-76 to Oakland of Michigan. Otherwise, the KU got a scare from Samford in 93-89. Samford had a chance at the end of that game. But otherwise, the chalk pretty much prevailed yesterday in day one of the NCAA tournament.
I had my pick, Morehead State, and they were great in the first half. It was a one-point game. I thought, okay, at worst, maybe a cover out of this. They didn't even cover, so I'm down on Morehead State this morning.
Matthew.
Well, I think we got to talk about how the new 12-5 is the 11-6.
Yeah.
All three sixes that play did go down. That was kind of the big through line of upsets.
Right. Duquesne knocking off BYU. Duquesne from the A-10, by the way. A 71-67 victory over BYU. 11th seed Oregon, and this wasn't a surprise to me. Oregon is long, and they're athletic. They always are. And they knocked off South Carolina 87-73. NC State beats Texas Tech 80-67. It does feel like the 12-5, doesn't it? Do those feel like upsets to you guys?
Well, yes.
Yeah, only because of the seeding?
Just because of the seeding.
I'm never surprised when NC State wins a NCAA tournament game. The one you could, I guess, take a look at and say, wow, surprise, is the A-10. Coming away with a couple of victories.
Yeah. I would say so. That would be the one that gets me a little bit. Obviously, the Oakland one is the one that everybody's talking about this morning.
Yep.
And I mentioned that I went to Oakland to do a game. That was because Arthur Johnson and Ricky Paulding were going back to Michigan or the Detroit area. And that's a game I worked with Norm Stewart. It was one of his first games ever. And let's just say nature called for me. And so it was halftime, and I said, Coach, you're going to be fine. They're going to give you the highlights and just talk over the highlights and then take us to break. No problem, Dan, I got it. They said, where the hell have you been? I said, well, I had to go to the bathroom. And it was like 10 minutes later because you had to fight through the crowd. They said, Coach did an 8-minute segment and never took a break. He just kept talking. Norm just kept going.
Norm.
Now, the basketball needs to go to the corner, and then if you get it out of the corner, it needs to go to the block. And they just taking shots of the crowd and the banners and everything else they could find because he didn't know what a break was.
That's fantastic.
He was the best.
Funny.
The tournament continues today, and you can watch it with us at Helen Fitzgerald's. The tournament is going to be on all of the TVs in South County, and you can join BK and Ferrario live from 11 to 2, Fast Lane from 2 to 6, and I will be with Kerry Davis and Andrew Marsh from Helen Fitzgerald's in South County, and you can enjoy food, great food. We're going to have some of those Helen Fitzgerald's / Slyberg's wings later today. A cold Bud Light, 101 ESPN giveaways, plenty of screens to watch all the games and more. Get details at 101ESPN.com, and I'll see you at 2 o'clock over at Helen Fitzgerald's.
I guess the big question is, how did CD hold up?
He powered through. He was playing hurt, but he got stronger as he's a typical Steeler. He got stronger as the game went along, and we were fine.
That's good. We have some people who were definitely concerned about him on the text line and his voice because I heard him the other day. I was like, oh my goodness, this sounds awful.
I was concerned, and I didn't even text in.
The Blues played at Ottawa last night, knocked off the Sens by a score of 5-2. The Blues scoring first, 11:54 into the contest. It's Brandon Saad.
Blues hold it in near point. Perunovic leaves it out high. Kyrou, right side. Kessel to Kyrou. One-timer on rebound. Score! Brandon Saad swats the rebound in. It might have been out of the air. And with 8:06 to go in the first period, Saad the goal, Kyrou the assist. Blues the lead. 1-0 the score.
Matthew Kessel also got an assist, and that first assist for Jordan Kyrou kind of became a theme in the period. 3 minutes later.
Up to the backhand of Letty, goes to shoot it in. Puts it off of Saad, who keeps the puck down to the corner. In behind the net, centers to Parayko. He scores! Kyrou finds Parayko. Parayko bangs it home. 2-0 Blues, 5:03 to go, period number 1.
2-0 after a period after Mark Kestelik scored for Ottawa. 4:34 into the second period. At the 13:11 mark, the neighborhood was visited.
Blues win the draw to Falk. Now to Shin, backhanded on in front, poking it towards the goal. Thomas, they score! Shin and Neighbors battled in front, and I think Neighbors was able to bang it in on the rebound. And the Blues get the 2-goal lead back. It's 3-1 with 6:49 to play in the second period.
After a Senators goal, the Blues would get another goal from Kyrou, his 22nd of the year, to make it 4-2. Neighbors with an empty netter, and the Blues win it by a score of 5-2. And here come your St. Louis Blues.
Ooh, and then Vegas just had to ruin some of the fun by winning last night because the Blues before that were 2 points just away from Vegas for that final wild card spot. But what's happening with the Blues right now is exciting. If they do make the playoffs or not, it feels like they are at least putting in that effort every single night to make that playoff push. Goaltending continues to be the backbone of this team right now. Joel Hofer with 37 saves last night. And also, I thought it was a great response game by Jordan Kyrou. Of course, we talked a lot about in that Avs game, the bad penalty, and a lot to do about that. And look, he wasn't the only one that made mistakes in that game. But at the same time, I thought it was a great response game by Jordan Kyrou last night.
Goaltending tandem has got to be top 5 in the league. It just has to be with Hofer and Bennington. I thought Hofer was awesome last night. Brooke, to your point, let's give credit where credit's due. Kyrou played a very good game. I mean, I was watching him off the puck, and he was all over the place. He was skating. He was making a commitment to go both ends of the ice. So I thought he deserves a lot of credit. And the Blues, it is imperative to get that first goal. When they get a first goal under Drew Bannister now, they're 16-2-1. And so they get the first goal, you know what? They've got a great shot to win, which is the majority of times with most teams. But that is a glaring stat under Drew Bannister, 16-2-1 when they score first.
What do you think that is? I know that, of course, simply it's just, well, you score first, you build up that confidence. But when you put out that record, it seems like it's a little bit more of a staggering fact that something more is going on there.
I would say, guys, it's momentum, right? Yeah. I mean, you get the first goal, you get some momentum. Maybe you feel like you can play a little differently because you do have the goaltending behind behind you to take some chances. We talked about that with Robert Thomas last week. Robert Thomas will join the show coming up today. But I think you can play a little bit differently when you get that first goal, and then understanding that your goaltender behind you is going to give you a chance to win.
The Blues will play tomorrow at Minnesota, and that is an early start. It's a day game against the Wild. Noon pregame, 1 o'clock faceoff here on 101 ESPN. Down in Florida yesterday, the Cardinals lost to the Astros by a score of 9-1. Not a great day for Josh James, who saw his earned run average inch up to 135.00. A third of an inning for Joshy, and he allowed 5 runs on just 2 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 1. Not a good day for him. A good day for Zach Thompson, who goes 4 innings, allows 2 runs. Palante with a scoreless inning, including a strikeout. Swanson cleaned up the James, well, not really cleaned up the James mess because he did allow 5 runs. And then Cornwell and Winquest. And Winquest, in my opinion, and this is just me speaking, he spells his name Winquest. Doesn't he need to spell his name Winqvest if he wants to be a St. Louis favorite?
If he wants to be a St. Louis favorite, yeah, I'm going to take that.
To maybe take number 7. Well, 70's already taken.
Who's got 70?
Some coach.
You're supposed to know all the numbers.
Packy had it.
Yeah?
But somebody took it.
And now it's gone by the wayside. But I want to go back to Zach Thompson. To me, I know that when you brought up the 2 runs over 4 innings, you might not look at that and say, okay, that wasn't one of his cleanest starts. But I think at this point that he has really solidified one of those spots in the starting rotation, or at least the consideration of the starting rotation.
Well, he's going to make the team, so
Yeah.
We'll see what role that is. And then Sonny Gray, it's, I guess, contingent on whether or not he makes a start on the first road trip or if he breaks camp on the IL. And I don't know how this works. We were talking about this before. If you break camp and start the season on the IL, do you have to stay 10 games out? And Randy, I don't know if you know that answer. Brooke, I just don't know. And so if he starts on the IL, to be careful. And to me, that would be the best thing to do, is just to push him back to make sure he's fully healthy. If that's the case, then Zach Thompson, to me, is in the rotation, like you said, Brooke.
That's what I think should happen. And Sonny Gray, by the way, he will start in a minor league game today. I know that weather is supposed to not be great down there, so we'll see if he'll be able to do that, and he'll be limited to 2 innings. So the Cardinals are hoping they will be able to figure out more about his timeline if he is able to do that today.
If he's at 2 innings, then he's got to build up to at least 4 or 5, I would think, just to have a shot to make a start. That would make sense to me. He's got to get up to 4 or 5 before you say you give him the green light to get going.
And Miles Michaelis will pitch for the Cardinals tonight against the Marlins, and that is a 5:40 start. By the way, it was Michael McGreevy who was up in the Major League camp that had number 70 this year.
Man, that's important to know.
It is. Well, Packy Naughton was number 70, and we loved Packy. Because how many people do you know named Packy? Although they have another
great
Packy
name.
on the coaching staff. Packy Elkins is on the coaching staff. It is a great name. It's a Boston name.
Okay.
Oh, it is.
Sounds good to me.
Packy, number 70.
What do you want me to say?
You telling me you didn't love Packy Naughton?
I didn't care. I just wanted him to throw strikes.
I wanted Josh James to throw strikes, and I didn't get anything out of it. So we're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Next up, you've got some St. Louis City SC action tomorrow over at City Park. DC United is in town. What should we look for with SC being back home? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Style-wise, yeah, I think we're pretty similar. I think both teams bring a lot of energy to the table. There's a lot of high intensity. There's a lot of turnovers high up the field within the game models. So yeah, it's a bit of a, that's been a bit of the talk, and I think it doesn't, it can take the neutral to even see those. So yeah, we're excited about a good game against a good opponent here at City Park. It's been a couple of weeks now since we played here, so yeah, I think everyone's chomping at the bit to get back home.
That's Bradley Carnell, the head coach of St. Louis City SC. They take on DC United at 7:30 tomorrow night at City Park. DC comes in with a record of 1-1-2. St. Louis City SC is 1-0-3. And as Coach mentioned, a couple of similar styles. So it should be an interesting contest from that perspective, because we like to watch the style that Bradley Carnell and City employ. And as we go into this game, it's imperative that City protect City Park pitch. They've got to play well at home. We talked the other day about accepting draws on the road. They can't accept draws on their home pitch.
No, they cannot. I feel like you were just giving a speech that is going to be piped into the locker room there so they could hear that, Randy. But I get what you're saying. But here's the other thing. They haven't lost yet, if you want to look at it in that regard. So that's a positive. And Rowan Berkey has looked fantastic. So there's a lot of interesting storylines, too, because you're going to also see the return. Now, when I say return, they're obviously on the other side of Jared Stroud and Lucas Bartlett.
They're not going to have Tim Parker either. That's something that I look at, that's a big factor. I love watching him play. He's aggressive. He's physical. He moves up in the play, but he's solid on the back line for them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the crowd is like. It's been a couple of weeks since the home folks have had a chance to watch him. So can't wait to see what happens at City Park.
Yeah, the Parker thing was a little bit of a surprise going into last week against the Galaxy. He flew out with the team. I think a lot of people expect him to play, and then all of a sudden he clearly tweaked something in his back, and that's obviously been bothering him about a week back. Oh, okay. And actually, here's Bradley Carnell from yesterday giving an overall update on the injuries to Lowen and Parker.
It is progressing really well, quicker than expected. I'm not saying that just loosely. I think he's coming along really well, and for him to be jogging at this stage is encouraging. But it's way too early. Tim is still managing his back, so yeah, we'll have to see. But I doubt it. I'm not sure if he'll be ready for Saturday.
Yeah, so you're still without Lowen probably for another week. They're going to reevaluate him, and then Parker back, so he's out as well. So you're missing a little bit of your spine again.
Last year at this time, we were talking about Klaus all the time. This year, no goals, no assists. Number one, is it a concern? Number two, why does he have no goals and no assists?
I don't think it's a concern, mainly because other people are producing for you, and I just think it's kind of like the same thing with basketball or hockey. I kind of like to compare all those sports together. If you're not a big fan, it's just as long as you're getting a collective amount of scoring, I don't know if you're really bothered by where it's coming from. My big thing is, and I asked Carnell about this yesterday, is that one big stat you look at is how often you're getting individual touches inside the opposition's penalty box. Mm-hmm. And last year they finished the season, I think, 14th in the league. This year they're 4th in the league. And a lot of those touches in the opponent's box are coming from AZ Jackson, Celio Pompeu, and those players, not from Klaus or Adeniran. Now, I'm sure they want to get their best finishers, Klaus and Adeniran, more of those strikes. It's like the high danger chances in hockey. You want to get those to Jake Neighbors and Pavel Buchnevich because those are your best scorers, but you're still getting the ball in the right spots. You just got to start figuring out how to make sure it's Adeniran and Klaus on the end of it and not always Pompeu. And that's the big thing going forward. But here's the thing. You have the similar styles against DC United. You both press high up. If I'm putting my money down on this game, though, I don't think there's a team that can outpress City. So if you're going to play this kind of style, I'm going to roll with City being able to play it better than you.
Do you think it was purposeful to play this style just to get fans involved?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, where does it start? Was it Carolyn going out and finding Lutz, who's been, who's been around this style before? Was it Lutz saying we need to play this kind of style, so then I'm going to go with Bradley Carnell, who coached it at New York before? Where did it start? I'm not sure. I'm just happy it did, because that was my biggest thing from the get-go, is I was worried you're an expansion team. You're worried about just getting drilled your first season, and so you want to play possession-based soccer, defensive. You don't want to lose too many games. I was worried that was going to be the case, and they defied all of that and immediately came out and picked the most mindless attacking, fun way to do it. I don't know if it was purposeful, but I'm glad they did, and I think that's been one of the reasons people have taken to it.
And I think that, well, I know when we had Lutz on right after he got hired, he wanted to play a system that was reflective of St. Louis.
Yeah, that too.
And he, hardworking, blue collar, and a lot of action, and especially on the heels of the Blues winning the Cup, a real pressing style. And so I do think the style that they play is reflective of the town.
So when you guys hear, because Carnell talks about, like, Carnell uses words like bravery a lot, and we have a Midwestern style a lot. Am I just so jaded that whenever I hear that stuff, it just goes one ear and out the other? Like, it never hits me.
But he's
in, like,
not
this,
the only one.
No, he's not the only one who does that.
You heard Miles Michaelis the other day. What was his quote?
We're going to be the richest. We're going to be the best paid farmers in the Midwest.
Yeah, he said we're going to be some hardworking Midwestern farmers out there. That was Miles Michaelis' quote the other day. I do get it, though, because I think you do have to be hyper aware and reflective of your city and the people. And I think that everyone in this city, and I know that every fan base is, of course, like this, but you're always going to appreciate the type of players and the type of style where they are extremely hardworking at every single moment, and you're going to gravitate towards those guys. Why do we like Jake Neighbors so much right now for the Blues?
Because he's hardworking and going to the net and entering the neighborhood.
Exactly. Yes, entering the he's welcoming people to the neighborhood, or not. He's kind of shutting the door on people. But at the same time, too, I think that people just gravitate towards that in general. But I think that that's something that you like here in St. Louis. And that's another reason why they went out and got Carnell, because that high-pressing style is, of course, associated a lot with the Red Bull.
And to that point, Brooke, when John Davidson was the president of the Blues, they did a survey of their season ticket holders. And at that point, and the survey was, what do you look for most in your hockey team? It was more important for Blues season ticket holders to see a team that came and worked hard every night than winning a Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. If they wanted to get return on their investment with effort. And
hold on, they wanted
a terrible mindset.
They wanted effort instead of a Stanley Cup.
They wanted
mindset.
Effort more than a Stanley Cup.
I'm glad they didn't.
That was more important to them.
See, that's my point. That seems so. That just seems like you're just. That seems like you're just blowing smoke up people's ass at that point, in my opinion.
Why?
Yeah.
Just because you're just pumping people up, but why shouldn't winning be the end all be all? Why does the style matter? And if it matches the culture of the city, that's all I'm saying.
But isn't the saying that hard work pays off?
Well,
and so that's kind of the line of thinking.
But that's every team has to do that. It doesn't matter if you're playing like a hard nosed Midwestern style or not.
But remember, at that time, who had been the most popular players in Blues history? It had been Brian Sutter. It had been Kelly Chase. It had been the Barclay Plager. It wasn't players that were going to lead you to a Stanley Cup. It was players that came and put on their work boots every night.
Brett Hall, Adam Oates. They were pretty much fun to watch.
Yeah, they were. And Oatsy. Why did Hully become great? Because he had that meeting with Brian Sutter after he scored 40, and he said, you got to work harder.
Yeah, I take the Stanley Cup over a hardworking team. And I would say that one is involved with the other. If you're a hardworking team, you're going to win the Stanley Cup.
This was, let's see, 77, 87, 97. This was 40 years in with a lot of old season ticket holders. It wasn't the
now, that's a good point.
It wasn't people that were there because the team had already won a Stanley Cup.
Now, that is valid. I think with a new fan or a younger generation, they're like, give me the cup. That's a really good point, because those season ticket holders they had been through thick and thin, man. And a lot of them had been there for 40 years, and you're right. They wanted the identity of somebody that played very hard, and they enjoyed some of those older players that you're talking about.
And look at some of the people that became really popular with Cardinal fans. People like Rex Hudler and Bo Hart, the guys that worked hard and hustled every day. Whether it was true or not, whether it was real hustle or fake hustle, people love hustle.
Of course. Why would you not?
Well, there are some people that think it's fake. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Rex Hudler got a little trouble in that Cardinal clubhouse back in the day.
There's some fake hustle guys.
Yeah, there are.
That's all right, though. I like watching it. I always say, he's hustling. Yeah. And you're off the hook.
Oh, see him dive. The guys that dive, I love it.
You said that he's hustling the same tone that we say. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. He's hustling. He's getting down the line. Okay, next guy up.
Is there, and we only have a second here, but is there more an essence of this than Bo Hart?
No.
Who's still beloved in town?
He's beloved.
Yeah, 20 years later.
He's beloved.
What did he play? Like 75 games or something like that.
He had the great, I think it was 03 when he came up and just took the world by storm, the baseball world. I'll never forget it. We were in Kansas City, and Dan Patrick wanted him on his show, and they were supposed to have a meeting, and it was the meeting with Tony, and Tony said, let him do it because he's not going to be here very long anyway. Just let him enjoy let him bask in the sun, you know. So that's what he did.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, it looks like the good golfers are back in golf. That's next on 101 ESPN with Jay Delsing.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues with a big win last night over the Senators 5-2. Jordan Kyrou with a big game as he picks up a goal and 2 assists. Jake Neighbors also effective inside the neighborhood as he picks up 2 goals, including the empty netter to top off the game. The Blues are back in action, facing off against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday. It's an afternoon game, 1 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at noon. Also yesterday, St. Louis Cardinals get walloped in Jupiter. They fall 9-1 to Houston. They are back in action for a later game today, 5:40 p.m. first pitch, facing off against the Marlins. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Dan and Randy, and Jay Delsing and Dan will have golf with Jay Delsing Sunday morning from 8 to 10 here on 101 ESPN, and as he does every Friday morning at this time, Jay Delsing joins us on the Celebrity Line. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Everything's great. And I was thinking of you last week because we had talked so much about the lack of big-name leaderboards so far on the PGA Tour in 2024. And last week, we've got Scotty Scheffler with a one-shot lead, and former major winner Brian Harman has a chance to tie it with a birdie on the 18th. Former major winner Wyndham Clark has a chance to tie it with a birdie on the 18th. Xander Schauffele has a chance to tie it with a birdie on the 18th. It was really a fun leaderboard to watch, and it was great action, I thought. What do you think?
Yeah, it really felt like, I mean, Liv was not even in the conversation. The best players were playing well, and the drama that usually the TPC and the golf course brings was, front and center. And, man, if you're Wyndham Clark, that's a tough one to deal with. He hit such a great putt, and it hit a lot of the hole and didn't go in. It was to your point, Randy, it was a really good tournament. Rory McIlroy was up there for a great majority of it as well. And it's really, our game does really well when someone dominates. And Scotty Scheffler is putting well and winning tournaments. And I didn't feel like he even played all that well last week. And to see him come in with a 64 and close it out was really impressive.
Well, sorry, Jay, I'm going to bring up a live player here because it's pretty interesting. John Rahm with some interesting comments here recently saying that he misses competing and defending on the PGA Tour, saying that he's even been watching a lot of the PGA Tour. What do you make of those comments from Rahm?
Oh, Brooke, I'm telling you, everybody's there. He's not the only one. I mean, Mickelson is going to go down swinging and say that he doesn't watch it, doesn't care, and I don't believe that either. But all of those guys do. When there are certain tournaments on the PGA Tour that 100% they're missing not being there, and that is kind of for a player and for the players. That the Players Championship is kind of it at the top of the list, and then you're going to get Jack's tournament at Memorial and all of those things. And what I like about Rahm, and that's one of the reasons I was so surprised that he left, is that he's thoughtful, and he's pretty honest with his responses, and that doesn't surprise me at all. There is no way that those other guys, Patrick Reed, DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, aren't missing some of those events.
Are we seeing, Jay, a Tiger-type run right now with Scotty Scheffler, or is that too bold of a statement?
We don't have the drama and all the flair that Tiger brings to the game. We have this guy that's really, really a gentleman that is just got a totally different personality. But Danny, what he's doing on the golf course, it's Tiger-esque from his hitting standpoint. What's really weird, you guys, is that when I watch Scotty, I'm always watching swings, and I like to try to predict where I think the ball's going to go just by the swing. And I see Scotty's feet go flying out from under him, and he's barely standing up, and his right foot slides over there, and I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden, it's right next to the flag, or it's right down the fairway. And so I can't figure out his leg work. It looks like some sort of bad dancing move or something like that, but the results speak for itself. It's really impressive.
Jay, did you ever have, you mentioned the Wyndham Clark putt, did you ever have an important putt that lipped out like that?
I had a putt. We were playing in Richmond, and I had a putt. I was a shot off the lead, and I'd hit an iron into about 6 or 7 feet, and I just knew I was going to make it. I was putting well. The last hole was a par 5, so I'm thinking I'm going to make this. And Randy, usually I'm a fast player. I make my decision, go pretty fast. I couldn't quite get the ball lined up because I knew exactly where I thought this thing would break, and by the time I got finished, my guy's like, take your time, stock it in. And I finally got it where I wanted it and hit it where I wanted it, and it lipped out. And he looked at me and like, all that time for that? I was like, yeah, like, exactly. So there's just almost a shock that goes through your mind when you are playing that well and it doesn't go your way. I mean, Wyndham had to be, oh, man. I mean, to watch that putt, it's on the line you want. It's on the line you want. It's going to hit the hole. And then I think he said he thought it was going to lip in instead of lipping out, and then when it just spun out, it was odd. I don't know if you guys saw the close-up camera work, but it almost looked like the hole put some weird spin on the ball or something, because it almost looked like the ball spun the other way. And I hadn't seen that before, and but I've seen a lot of lip outs, as you know,
What a bummer. Me too.
I want to go. Jay, I want to go back to Rahm just for a second because his Masters menu was revealed, and it's always fun to see what everybody puts on there. I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of the things that he has on his menu. It is a great menu from what I could tell, though. What would be your non-negotiable on your Masters menu?
Oh, man. You know, years ago I had to stop eating red meat, but, man, my first thing would have been some sort of big fat steak back in the day, a ribeye or a filet for sure. But I'm a boy.
What about Emo's Pizza or something like that? You throw in Emo's Pizza in there?
Something that would have some sort of like a tater tot or something that would totally freak all the Masters people out. You know what I mean? Like something that they wouldn't expect. I would have some. I would have some really good dessert in there. I'll tell you that. I don't know. Ron was saying the cake that they had was he and his wife's wedding cake, and it's some sort of special. I read that menu like 4 times, you guys. I was like, I don't even know exactly what this is. I know there's fish, and then there was the meat, and I don't know. I guess you know what, you guys. I love a French fry. I would put some sort of great French fries. You know who makes great French fries is Cane's. Not that I've ever had fast food before, but Cane's makes, and then a little cane sauce, whatever. Oh. There might be some drug or something in that sauce because you can't stop eating it. I put it all over everything, and I also lick the container when it's over.
So, Jay, one thing I learned from Rahm is that you can only pick 2 main courses. So I was asked to put my menu together, and here it is. Tell me what you think. Fen Bar and Grill trash wings, of course. Some nachos, some great grande nachos, shrimp cocktail, and then one of my other appetizers is going to be the High Point burger. Then I'm going with a Caesar salad. My main course is going to be a prime ribeye or swordfish, or both if you want. My sides, here you go, Jay. Tater tots, salt and smoked mac and cheese, grilled asparagus, and some steamed broccoli. And then my dessert, Traeger carrot cake. Got to have that, don't we? Chocolate
Would you
cherry.
make your own, though? You'd have to make your own?
I'll work on it. I'll give him the recipe. Like, Rahm gave his mom's secret recipe to the chefs over there. So, yeah, we'll take care of that. Chocolate cherry cheesecake and French silk pie. And then I guess you get an open bar for everybody. I'm going to have Dr. Pepper products, of course, but an open bar for everybody. So there's my menu.
That's impressive. You know what's really impressive about that, Randy? What in the hell are broccoli and asparagus doing in there?
I wanted to do it for the golfers.
You need a side of Tums, too.
Your food group pyramid just got shot to hell with those 2 in there.
What the hell's going on?
I don't know. I make a pretty good cookie. I'm going to bring by the studio to Randy. We've talked about this before. I got to throw this in the mix. I make a chocolate chip oatmeal macadamia cookie that I'm going to bring in for you guys. It's pretty good. And when they're in my house, they call me in from every room. Like I walk in and like I'm working and I go in and I only have one. Then I grab 2. Before you know it, they're gone before 10 a.m.
Next Friday works. We'll see you in studio. That'll be great, Jay, even though you don't know that you're supposed to be here, but we're going to tell you to be here. Right. I want to go back to Wyndham Clark just for a moment. And on Full Swing, they got really into the Netflix series, the mental side of the golfer. And in particular, he talks about how a sports psychologist took him over the top. Do all the guys have that, or is it just maybe, if you put a percentage of it, 50% of the golfers, but how many are using a sports psychologist?
I'd say probably 90. It's not, when it was interesting, guys. Back in the day, I had my first 3 years on the PGA Tour, I had kept my card, but I was really starting to struggle with just trying to deal with all the downtime. You start thinking, am I ever going to make a cut again? How am I putting? Is it somebody kind of slipped it out to me that they were working with a sports psychologist, and I went around to more people, and it was just more taboo back in the 80s. People didn't talk about, talking to people or therapy or whatever the heck you want to call it. And then it turns out that almost everybody on the PGA Tour is using them, and it's interesting because one of the things that Wyndham Clark said on that Full Swing interview was he asked his person, I can't remember her name, but said, why when we get on the putting green and I close my eyes and putt doing this drill, why does the ball get to the hole every single time? And then when I'm open, my eyes are open and I'm playing like I play, I leave so many more putts short. And it's really all just because of fear and getting a little bit, getting in your head a little bit. It's really interesting. I know this because I putted for 8 months on the PGA Tour with my eyes closed and had I was putting so badly, you guys, that I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to try it. And it was freaky as all as you can imagine, but the putt, it still worked. It was amazing.
It's amazing. Hey, Jay, we only have a minute left, but I want to read you a quote from Rory McIlroy. And the folks from the private investment fund from Saudi Arabia had a secret meeting that we don't know anything about on Monday with the PGA Tour Policy Board. But on the day before, on Sunday, here's what Rory McIlroy had to say. He said, I see the two entities, and I actually think there's a really big disconnect between the PIF and LIV. I think you've got PIF over here and LIV are sort of over here doing their own thing. So the closer we can get to Yasser, who runs the private investment fund, PIF, and hopefully finalize that investment, I think that will be a really good thing. I'll tell you what I get out of that quote is that the Saudis' desire to sports wash what they've done has worked.
100%. I mean, 100%. I mean, here's what's interesting too, Rennie, and I did some research. Of all of our sponsors, almost 80% of them do business in Saudi Arabia already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of these things where it's what they've done and some of the things they've done with Khashoggi, it's horrific. And some people, it doesn't matter. No. So it's tough. I mean, when I talk to my nephew Taylor Twillman, he's like, man, they've been doing this forever. This is nothing new. They're doing it with tennis. They're doing it with MMA. They're doing it with the Formula One. I mean, it's just a reality. There's so much money, you guys. They can't be ignored anymore.
What do you guys have on the show on Sunday?
We're going to break down the Netflix series. We're going to talk about the Players Championship. Actually, really, the last 2 weeks, the Arnold Palmer's event with Scotty winning there was a really good leaderboard as well. So we're going to talk about things being a little bit more in line on the PGA Tour and in the golf world than they have been lately.
Sounds good, Jay. We will be tuned in on Sunday. Have a great day today.
You guys too. Thanks so much.
See you later. Jay Delsing with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO.
Yo-ho.
Yes.
TIOLI next on 101 ESPN.
No.
Today's a big day for you to head to Schnucks. It's another special big 3-day sale with red-hot deals. The Schnucks Steals and Deals 3-day sale, and it will go today through tomorrow. And you're going to see big-time money off, deals you won't believe, and steals that'll make you think you're getting away with something. These aren't sales you see every week. These are special sales with major money off the items that you love. Check these out. How about seedless grapes for $1.99 a pound? How about pork loin baby back ribs for $1.99 a pound? Or Smokehouse Daddy chicken wings are $1.49 a pound. So many ways to save money at Schnucks. You can earn 2% back with Schnucks Rewards. You can find hundreds of exclusive digital coupons in the app. And now you can turbocharge those savings with the Schnucks Deals and Steals 3-day sale at all Schnucks stores this weekend. Make sure you take advantage of this week's huge savings and keep your eyes and ears open for the next Steals and Deals at Schnucks. Schnucks Deals and Steals today and tomorrow. It concludes tomorrow at Schnucks.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
For TIOLI here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy, and kids, the National Football League has decided to not ban the tush push in their league. Take it or leave it. This is a smart move by the NFL.
I think this is a very smart move, so I'm going to take it. I enjoyed the tush push, or as some like to say, the brotherly shove, which I think will still be here to stay, even without Kelsey around. Don't you guys think that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think copycat league, every other team is going to be looking at doing that. I would like to know the percentage of times that it worked, and if it had a chance to maybe even the playing field and make it more competitive on 4th and a foot, then I'd say I'd take it out.
And it was different for Philadelphia because of Kelsey and the strength of Jalen Hurts. And one of the things that the Eagles did last year when they drafted Cam Jurgens in the second round to be the replacement for Kelsey, they looked for a guy that could do that.
Sure.
And so Cam Jurgens is going to be their starting center this year, and that was the plan. He can get really low, and he's really strong, and then Hurts can bench like 7,000 pounds, so you have really strong people. But one of the things that the coach of the Eagles, Nick Sirianni, said to Joe and Troy is that we start every series 1st and 9.
Exactly. And that's my point.
Yeah.
You know, the competitive advantage of using that particular play on 4th and 1. And if you had the percentages of it, if you didn't do it, that would favor the defense. I think maybe I'd give them a fighting chance to say it makes it a more competitive game.
Yes.
You do worry about injuries, though. I think that's the other thing. Isn't the Players Association trying to, or they have been trying to push back on it a little bit?
Yeah, but I wonder if the Eagles players are on board with that.
I would doubt it.
Yeah, because it works for them.
It does. Yeah. So take it or leave it, guys. Now, I want to start this by saying, of course, I am on the Victor Scott hype train. I have been on that hype train. But just based off this recent article that Katie Wu of The Athletic has up right now, where she talked to John Mozeliak, take it or leave it, Victor Scott will start the season in the minors, and then you'll have Siani on your bench.
But take that.
Take it. Yes.
Yep.
I hate it, guys, but it seems like that's what's going to happen, realistically, right?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with him being ready when he gets here.
Yeah, I as a fan, I want to see him. I would imagine the coaching staff, if they were being honest, I bet they would say, yeah, let's bring him up. But sometimes it's a money game. Sometimes it's a numbers game. And I'm not just saying that with the Cardinals. I mean, generally in sports. And maybe the front office sees something different, too, where they say, you know what, we're just not ready for him to be here. And then the other part of it, you have a logjam when Tommy Edman is healthy. So that's something to think about as well, because if he comes up and is part of the team, he's got to play. He's got to play every day.
That's the thing. And I just want to see him get a little bit of time against the better competition of AAA. What do you have, 38 games?
66 games at AA.
Yeah, at AA. And
no games at AAA.
No games at AAA. So if he can get a couple of months down there and prove that he can do it at that level, kind of like Mason Wynn did last year. Mason Wynn had a good year at AAA last year. I would prefer to see him be more seasoned, because you don't want a kid... He's 23. You don't want him to be overwhelmed early on in his major league career.
I would say this, though, too. If you're off to a really slow start and you need a spark, I'd bring him up. I'd say if he's in the minor leagues, and even if he's not performing all that well, I'd still say let's bring him up, because we need a spark of some sort. We can't let this thing get south.
But if you're going to do that, you have to be willing to let him be a spark. Let him get bunt hits, and when he gets on, give him a green light and let him go. He can't be a spark if he's standing on first base waiting for a home run.
And you got to commit. You got to commit to playing him every day.
Absolutely.
All right, take it or leave it. Caleb Williams had his pro day. My answer, or my question would be, why do it anymore? Why do we have to have he's the number one pick. Why are we doing a pro day for this guy?
So they can do those interviews, those hard-hitting questions from all the different teams, Dan, of course.
Tape don't lie. You already know what he is. You've already traded Justin Fields. Why are we doing a pro day? Now, I loved it. I sat and watched it, and he can fling it all over the place, and his arm is huge. So as a fan and my consumption of the game, my interest level was high. But why? If I'm Caleb Williams, I said, no, I'm good. I'm not doing it.
I just want to make sure that there hasn't been an injury that has affected his arm between the end of the season and now.
Okay, I think that's fair. Now you've convinced me the other way. Let's have everybody have a pro day.
I think that's pretty much what they do, don't
I
they?
know.
Well,
let's just do it.
Except for Marvin Harrison Jr. What do you guys think of that, by the way?
I think he's smart. I don't need him to see him run. I look at his tape. I don't need to see Caleb Williams throw. I know what he's going to do.
That's what your choice should be based upon, is what the kid did on the football field.
Yeah.
And I don't need 40 times. I don't need to see him lift 225 pounds 15, 20 times. But I just want to make sure that he's 100% healthy. That's all. Because neither of them did the medical stuff at the combine either.
Yeah. I like what Jaden Daniels did, where he talked about the reason he especially wanted to do his pro day is so that his receivers and some of the other players could get some love and attention.
That's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
That stands out to me, personally.
I've always wondered that if you're there as, it's kind of like in baseball, you go to follow one guy, Trevor Rosenthal being a great example. They were there to see a pitcher, and then they saw this guy throwing from shortstop, and they said, who's that? It was Trevor Rosenthal, and he became a great closer for the Cardinals. When I was watching that, Brooke, to your point, I was like, I wonder if somebody gets noticed because of how they run routes or their speed or how they get off the blocks, all that kind of stuff. And then it opens up somebody's eyes to say, take a look at this kid.
Second best quarterback pro day ever after John Elway.
Would be?
Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford, yeah.
50 or 50, a ball never touched the ground.
Ball never touched the ground. He was awesome.
Never forget that.
He was great when he didn't have a pass rush.
And to that point, I can actually see why evaluators want to see these guys. I understand it doesn't matter what they do in shorts, but tape is affected by the quality of competition that they're playing at every game, the conference they were in. If you look at a guy like Drake May, the offensive line in front of him, if you're trying to pick between three quarterbacks, I do understand that your scouts would say, well, I want to get all three of them in the same environment, which is just throwing out in shorts without any kind of pass rush. I can understand if you're trying to work from that point, why a scout would actually care about it.
Get that out of here.
What do you mean?
Get that out of here.
It's about being able to... It's the eye test all over again.
Give me the pass rush. Give me what he did under pressure.
But it's about seeing them all without every other variable. I'm not saying you throw out the
catch.
Tape. I'm not saying you throw out the tape. I'm saying it's
playing catch.
But you're seeing them the same way. You're seeing the throwing motion not being affected by a pass rush.
They're going to be throwing bullets everywhere.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Let's get some text in from the text line.
Take it or leave it. The Redbirds will win a World Series with both Arenado and Goldschmidt on the team.
Leave it.
Oh, wait, no. Randy, come on. We're
Say that
trying
again.
to be...
What was it, Rocc?
The Redbirds will win a World Series with Arenado and Goldschmidt on the team.
We're together.
That window's closing. That's my concern. But I also want to be really excited about things that are happening.
One of the unfortunate things about baseball and other sports is that only one team wins every year.
Well, here's the other thing, too, though. So then your window is basically a 2-year period. If you include this year and let's say 2 more on it, so you got 3 years to make this happen. Your rotation will be gutted again probably after next year. It'll be dependent on what you do in free agency and trying to address your pitching.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm going to have to leave it.
Hard to win.
Take it or leave it. This is the last season with Paul Goldschmidt in a Cardinals uniform.
Leave it.
Ooh, I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave that, too. They'll figure out a way to get him for 2 years.
1 year, 2 year?
The perfect Cardinal.
What is the perfect Cardinal?
Paul Goldschmidt.
So how would you define
I
it?
just lost my headphones.
Swell guy.
God, we're
that
doing
can
this
win
again.
an MVP
Here we
for
go.
He is.
What?
He also is very
Hard
charitable. But
worker.
I feel like if you could make a player
Hard
in a
worker.
factory, it'd be Paul Goldschmidt.
Absolutely.
Very stoic, the way that he goes about his business.
Smiles.
He does smile occasionally, but yes.
To me, he's
He's
like the
very
perfect
nice.
baseball player. Like, to your point,
is,
anybody
yeah.
would want him.
Here-
Everybody
Here
would.
stands baseball's perfect warrior.
You
I
know what?
wouldn't say he's Stan the man.
Okay.
Hardworking, lunch pail guy, puts on his work boots every day.
And a good golfer, too, right, Dan?
He's working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure
We
in
all are, aren't we?
like 5 years he'll be
Probably
piping
really awesome.
360 down
Yes.
the middle.
By the way, the team that should trade up to get Drake May is the Green Bay Packers.
The hell?
So that they have Drake and Josh.
That's not a good time to bring that up.
Oh, isn't it?
No, there's
Did one
not.
of them, did one of them disappear?
I mean, it's
Are
not
they- are they
bad.
in
It's
trouble?
It's not a bad time to bring it up. I mean,
There's
if
a
anything,
lot-
it's a good time. Shed some light on it, bro. Come on.
No, yes. I guess the timing of it is impeccable by you. But yes, there's a documentary out right now talking about the bad stuff of Nickelodeon.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
I got to see this.
I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I
It's
do.
not great.
Where's it? What's it on?
Do you know
Nickelodeon.
when it's on? I can't
I doubt
remember.
that they would air that.
What, I don't know what streaming service it's on. No, I don't.
No,
Sorry.
I can't keep up with it. I'll find out for you, Dan.
Okay, because I'll watch it.
I will too, yeah.
Take it or
Ruined
leave
my
it.
childhood.
Tiger at the Masters taking a spot, probably withdrawing or missing the cut, is taking a spot away from a more deserving younger player.
No, to leave it
Leave
totally.
that.
Leave it.
There isn't a young player that's more deserving than Tiger Woods, A. And B, that person is not going to win the Masters anyway.
Probably not. You never know. But also, Tiger may win the Masters.
Yeah.
He may come out and do what he did in 2019. You don't know.
Name one player that's more deserving to play in the Masters in 2024 than Tiger Woods.
Would you ever bet against Tiger anymore after
no.
everything you've seen?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. And because of his history, he deserves it more than anybody else to play in the Masters if he wants to.
For what he's done for golf.
Yeah.
He's and every player should be thanking him for exploding the purses because it's because of him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matthew. You got one more you want to get to?
No.
We're good, huh?
Good.
He's reading stuff. Oh, good.
Okay. Also, can I give you a quick update? It's on HBO Max and it's called Quiet on Set for those who want to watch
Quiet on set.
about Nickelodeon and some of the bad things that went on.
Okay. Rugrats?
No, it's not that. No,
Okay.
no. It's more of like, remember all that, the Amanda Bynes show, Drake and Josh, all that. It talks about
Okay. Child
those
stars.
things.
Yeah, here's something that's shocking. Child stars not treated great by Hollywood.
Huh.
Didn't see that coming.
Did not. Joey V is going to join us next here on 101 ESPN with our fresh take. Is that right? 8 o'clock or 8:15 for Joey V?
8:15.
So next up, we've got our fresh take. We're less than a week from the start of the Cardinals season. Are you satisfied with where they are? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about Gloria Lou. If you're even considering selling your home, Gloria Lou is the person to get in touch with. And there's a reason why. Whether you're looking for a traditional sale or a cash offer, Gloria has you covered because Gloria already has buyers, and she has cash buyers who are going to buy your home with no hassles, no repairs. You even get to choose your closing date. Bottom line, Gloria has options for you and knows that every home seller situation is going to be different. So there are a lot of different ideas out there that Gloria has. Her name is her promise and says it all. And those solutions include, if you want a fast sale with no hassles, she's got a 24-hour cash offer solution that's a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers and what she calls her cash offer bid box. This is a database that she's put together over the course of the last 20 years that has a buyer for your home. Call Gloria Lou today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
The day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
The Cardinals heading down the stretch of their Grapefruit League season. They open up their Major League season 1 week from yesterday in L.A. against the Doyers, and presumably it'll be Tyler Glasnow for L.A., and they've already played 2 games, and Miles Mikolas for the Cardinals at 11-11. How do you guys feel about where the Cardinals are as they head into the regular season? I can tell you that from my perspective, they have so many veteran players that I'm confident in turning in a representative performance based upon what they've done in the past. I'm okay with that. But I do have questions about the young players and their ability to maintain consistently for 6 months what they need to maintain for the Cardinals to be a successful team. The injuries obviously aren't going to help, but the biggest issue I have is that based upon what these starting pitchers have done in the past, minus Sonny Gray, especially what they've done in the last couple of years, I think it's kind of foolish to believe that these guys are going to get better. Mm-hmm. So my expectation would be that we're probably, the Cardinals are 11-11 right now. That's probably indicative of what the Cardinals are.
I agree with you. I think that I don't want to be a Debbie Downer in any way, but I do see some possible concerns and issues. We've talked about the injuries. I'm concerned about Tommy Edman and what that timeline will look like for him. Lars Nootbaar looks like that he will be getting healthier here soon. So how does he factor back in the situation? I have some concerns about the outfield and how that will shape out. And Katie Woo of The Athletic has an interview up right now with John Mozeliak, and it seems like it's going to be Siani who's going to be a part of the bench. And then I thought the other intriguing part is that he mentioned when she asked him about what they think defensively and offensively would be best for this outfield, Donovan's name was brought up. So do you put Donovan in the left field? And I'm just curious about, I don't want to see what we saw last year of that whole outfield carousel and trying to figure things out. Of course, injuries are factoring into this right now, but I agree with you, Randy, about starting pitching. One thing I feel a lot better in is the bullpen going into the season. Andre Palante, we talked about him the other day with his addition of the death ball. It seems like he has really turned things around as of right now. And then you have the addition, which I am sure he will be a part of this bullpen, of Riley O'Brien, who has a lot of swing and miss. He has this nasty curveball. So I at least feel better about the bullpen. Now, how they handled this Sonny Gray situation is where I'm in the wait and see mode with the Cardinals, because I do believe I'd rather hold him back and let him be healthy for the rest of the season than pushing him too early.
Agreed.
To your outfield point, unfortunately for them, they may be forced into Donovan playing left because then you're trying to find a spot for Donovan and Nolan Gorman, and you want to get your best bats out there. I look at it as incomplete. It's time will tell because injuries are really hurting this team with key players. Gray, Edman, Nootbaar, and I think Middleton is a big one because, Brooke, I'm with you. I think the bullpen is going to be very good this year. It needs to be with the age in the starters and just not going deep if they go 5 or 6 innings. So not having Keenan Middleton is big to me. I think it's just kind of an incomplete grade at this point coming out of spring training. I guess time will tell.
Watching this front office and management work as they do, and I brought this up the other day, and I believe it more now than I did the other day. I think you will see on opening day against, Glasnow, probably not, but first time they see a right-hander, you're going to see Donovan in left, you're going to see Gorman, and I think you're going to see Matt Carpenter in that lineup as the DH. And Carpenter's having a good spring, by the way, so taking nothing away, but this is just the way the Cardinals are. They like Matt Carpenter a lot. He's hitting 381 with a 1.176 OPS in spring. I think we'll see him as the opening day DH.
Be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure. I didn't have that on my bingo card, certainly when they signed him. But, with the pedigree that he's got and the resume that he's got and the way that ultimately you swing the bat, that dictates when you play. And you're right, Randy. I mean, you want to get lefties in against Glasnow as much as you can. So you're talking about Donovan, you're talking about Gorman, you're talking about Carlson being a switch hitter. It makes some sense. I don't know if they do that, but it would make some sense.
What do you guys think about this bench, at least to start the season, because we know that things will change? You have Herrera on your bench, and then you have Carp and Burleson, and one will be the DH depending on the day-to-day matchup. And then you have Crawford, and then you have Siani. And I'm factoring in the fact that Victor Scott will start in the minors.
I think that's your bench. Yeah. I'm just writing it down right now. I think it is. I think Burleson would get the start as the DH and save Carpenter for a pinch hitting appearance later in the game if need be. Here's the interesting thing, though. When you talk about the DH, how many times are you going to be pinch hitting?
That's the thing. Yeah,
you just don't pinch hit as much.
No, and it'll just be matchups, lefty-righty matchups more than anything else.
Yep, that's how it's going to. It is not how it is dictated by the designated hitter, where you just don't use a pinch hitter all that much.
And they have given Burleson a lot of at bats, and he's had a really good spring too, hitting 357 with a 941 OPS. Just seems like they're so enamored of just bringing Carpenter back shows us how enamored they are of him.
Well, they want that veteran leadership. That was something that they obviously saw as a glaring issue.
That's a great point.
With last year, just based off the comments and what was said, you could tell that they really wanted this veteran leadership coming in, which I don't doubt that is something that can help this team, but winning also helps this team, and I think that they see that maybe that is something that can help them win.
Okay, so before spring training started, I thought the Cardinals were an 81 team. Has spring training given you any reason to change your outlook for the Cardinals a week away from the start of the season?
For me, no. I think they're around that mark.
I had 85 wins, and if they don't get healthy, I'd go back to 500 or hovering just a game or two above or a game or two below.
That's today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to go to Minnie and visit with Joey Vitale. He's next on 101 ESPN. In today's fast-paced world of digital marketing, making meaningful connections with your audience can be a daunting challenge for any business. But what if there was a place where connections aren't just made, but nurtured for growth? Enter 2060 Digital, our sister company backed by a 100-year-old media empire, just like 101 ESPN. If you're a business owner or marketer seeking more strategic ways to reach and engage customers, look no further than 2060 Digital. With 12 years of expertise, 2060 specializes in simplifying the complexities of digital marketing. Our team demystifies the process by transforming it from a challenge into an opportunity for your business. Whether it's enhancing your brand's online presence, optimizing digital campaigns, or increasing customer engagement, 2060 is here to propel your business forward. Think your business has room to grow? Let us prove it to you. Visit 101ESPN.com/2060digital to request a complimentary digital audit today. Blues with a win in Ottawa last night. They'll take on the Minnesota Wild tomorrow afternoon. Noon pregame here on 101 ESPN with our friend Alex Ferrario and our friend Joe Vitale. And then the face-off at 1, Joey V and Curbs will have the call for you here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. We head up north now, and Joe Vitale joins us here on the Celebrity Line, as he does every Friday morning. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
As well, a wonderful, beautiful, snowy morning, and the lake known for all the lakes, the state known for all the lakes, rather, over 10,000 here. Talked to Nick Leddy last night. He actually told me Nick Leddy was playing in his 1,000th game tomorrow. There's actually more like 15,000 lakes up in Minnesota, which I had no idea. That's a lot of lakes.
It's a lot of fishing. There's a lot of places to go fishing. Are you a fisherman, Joey V?
I am, and so is Justin Falk. We talked a lot about this. Justin, especially when he became a father, that's his kind of go-to hobby, and he's looking forward to his kid getting a little bit older so they can start doing it more and more together. But I don't know how you're from Minnesota and you're not a fisherman. I mean, even ice in the winter, and then of course the summer fishing up here is wonderful. I spent summers up here up in Brainerd and Nisswa, Minnesota, for hockey camps, and it's kind of the main hobby up here, which is really cool, and it's great to see that. Certain Blues players have other hobbies in video games. Nowadays all the kids play video games as a hobby, but it's great to see the older guys get outside.
Joey V, I don't know about you, but my family, my ancestors are from northern Wisconsin. And have you ever had walleye? Walleye is a great eating fish. It really tastes good.
Bandy, walleye is probably the greatest tasting fish out there. I'm just going to say it. I don't think there's a fish, that white flaky fish, that compares to the walleye. We went up to Canada. We went up to Canada when I was a kid. We went up to way up north Manitoba. It was one of those, you fly into Winnipeg, you take a puddle jumper, and there were these virgin lakes, they call them. Which, by the way, I don't know how you really get the name Virgin Lakes. I guess if no one touches the lakes, I've seen this with water sometimes too. Like water, you look at the back of some water bottles, and they'll say water taken from the virgin spring. I don't know how a spring loses virginity, but anyway, so there's these virgin lakes up there, and we caught all kinds of walleye, and it was really cool because our guides, they would take us to the shoreline, and they build a fire, and then you cook and you bake and you grill what you caught that day. And the walleye I tasted that day, Randy, I'm with you. That is probably the greatest tasting fish that I have ever had. And it's a shame because St. Louis, I just feel like we can't get enough of it. I don't know if it's hard to get here or what, or maybe it's the freshness that's an issue. But yes, northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, way up north where Duluth is. That's what Scott Perunovich also was talking about a few weeks back when he talked about all the outdoors fishing he does. He's a big outdoors guy as well. But all kinds of great walleye up there is amazing.
Yeah, and I guess the question would be is, once you go fishing or once somebody takes a bottle of water from a virgin lake, is it a virgin lake anymore?
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I looked at this bottle of water. This is earlier in the year, and it just said, water taken from a spring virgin stream. And I'm just like, I didn't know streams had their virginity to, like, hold on to. And then the second question is, how does a spring or how does a lake lose its virginity? Was the other thing. I'll send you the label. I think I took a picture of it somewhere. Maybe you guys can discuss it later if there's nothing else to talk about.
Okay, yeah, I want to check that out. That's an interesting concept, and that's worth a segment.
How about that Jake Neighbors, huh?
I was like, how do we follow that up?
Yeah. There's really no way to follow that up.
No, there's not.
No, there's
personal.
There's not a good way to segue that.
Yeah, I'm not getting personal with Jake. Yeah, I tell you what,
I wasn't talking about that. Let's just talk about on the ice, Joey.
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. No, I'm glad you clarified that. No, that's
problem.
Where I was going into, of course. Yeah, Jake, another great game last night for Jake. Look at that goal in that front. This year he sat down with Steve Ott earlier in the year, and Steve Ott told me this. He said, and Steve Ott was a bit of a pest. He was, quote unquote, a little bit of a rat, and he's proud of it. I mean, he's proud of the career he created, and he had to do it by stepping outside of his comfort zone. And assistant coach Steve Ott, of course, he talked to Jake this year, and he said, Jake, if you want to play a long time in this league, learn to make this blue paint, learn to make it your office. I compared a young Jake Neighbors to, although he's got some work to do, but Thomas Holmstrom with the Detroit Red Wing days. You guys, of course, remember Holmstrom, the way he was such a good net front presence, especially on the power play, the courage it took to stay there, take a beating, and just be in front of the goalie's eyes when slap shots are coming at your head. I mean, it's not fun. It's not easy. It's not the easiest way to make a living when it comes to being a hockey player. But I think Jake is such an obedient soldier and learner and willing and able to do what anyone asks of him. He of course, just really worked on that side of his game. And I think he has officially really made that blue paint his office. And he's really hard to get pushed out of there, whether it be the power play or 5-on-5. And I've always said that, to be a really good net front presence player, you have to have just a well-balanced amount of will and skill. You have so many willful guys, those fourth-line grinder type of guys, the Mackenzie McEachran types that, they want to get there because they know that's kind of what they have to do. But they maybe lack a little skill. They maybe lack some hands. Versus, high-end skilled players who have the skill, who have the hands, but maybe just don't have necessarily the will to get there. And Jake's just found that sweet spot. He's found that really, really nice balance where he's certainly courageous enough to get there. He's got the will, but he's got incredible hands and incredible presence for the net, and he knows how to elevate the puck when he's in tight as well. And another great 5-on-5 net front presence for him last night. And that one was a big one because Ottawa kept coming back after those 2-goal deficits, and that was a 1-goal game at the time, so it was a huge goal by Jake again.
It was also a great game by Jordan Kyrou, a great bounce-back game for him after that bad penalty the other night. He responded with a goal and 2 helpers. What did you see from Kyrou?
Jordan off the hop, Brooke, in that first shift of the game, you can tell he was competitive. You can tell he was jumping. You can tell he was on his toes. I think, we talked to him on the post game, Curbs and I did after the wrap last night. And, the one word he used was confidence. He said, I just need to get my confidence back. So, it's a player that is certainly feeling that he is not performing up to the standard that he wants to, and certainly that his team needs. And I think that's something that is on his mind. I think, you saw him the way he jumped last night. They brought him back down to the second line, hopefully took a little pressure off. Let's go out there, play hockey. He played with a really steady winger, of course, and Brandon Saad, and a guy he's very familiar with in Pavel Buchnevich. So you really got to give a little bit of credit to Drew Bannister, who continues to move these lines around. But his speed was there. Everything was a factor. Even on his goal, the way he just kind of whipped it at the net with his head down. It was just the presence. He just had really good intuition of knowing where the net was without even looking at it, which goal scorers ultimately do. And I think this is a player that is going to be a wild card now for St. Louis moving forward. You look at how this team has performed. You look at how they're right there in the mix. And, the thought of not even really having a full Jordan Kyrou throughout this stretch, it's pretty amazing the Blues are still there. I mean, that's what's scary is that even if the Blues are right there, which they are, and then all of a sudden you get Jordan Kyrou going, I mean, just an added piece, that can make it for a really nice run and really put a lot more pressure on the Vegas Golden Knights, who are still 4 points behind.
Joey, it's huge when you got Joel Hofer being able to come into a game and you don't experience much of a drop-off, if a drop-off at all. That is huge right now for the Blues.
Yeah, it really is, Dan. I mean, you look at his numbers, especially lately. I mean, not going to sit here and say we have a goaltending issue, but if there was a goaltending issue, it's who do you kind of use moving forward? I mean, and that's a really good problem to have, like I mentioned. I mean, Jordan Binnington's certainly your guy, and they're going to ride that horse until the sun goes down, I think, moving forward here, especially with the next week. And that's one of the reasons why they gave him a break last night. But you can't deny Joel Hofer's numbers. I mean, the last 3 games, after he played pretty much 500 hockey all year long, his last 3 starts, he's got a .952 save percentage, and he's 3-0. I mean, without him last night, I mean, I don't know if the Blues squeak that one out. And the same goes for the Anaheim Ducks game that he played last week. You know, the Blues had a really slow start in the first, a really slow second, and eventually that power play in the third period got him 3 goals and got him that win. But the same thing last night. I mean, Ottawa had 7-8 grade A backdoor high danger area chances right off the hop in the first period. You look at the scoreboard and it's still 0-0, and then before you know it, Brandon Saad put you on the board, and then all of a sudden it's 2-0. So, this goaltending situation in St. Louis, with all the things that have gone up and down this year, the one thing that's made very consistent is that there are 2 dynamite, game-changing goaltenders that can keep you in every single game, and Joel Hofer did the same thing last night.
Hey, Joey, in your experience as a player and as a broadcaster being around players, we talk about a sense of urgency at this time of year. Does every NHL player play with a sense of urgency when things are on the line like this? Or are there players that just, if I'm playing golf for game 83 or on the ice for game 83, it really doesn't make any difference to me. Are those players out there, or does everybody really care about making the playoffs?
Oh, I will say honestly, Randy, there are teams and players that just fall right off. And I think that there are teams that certainly have a lot more giddy up. And, I'm looking at the St. Louis Blues team. They were playing the song I Will Survive after the game last night. I mean, this is a team that is pumped, and they have that believability that they can get in. It was an unfortunate 3-game little drought they went on that New York trip that kind of put them back in this position they're in. But they're not going down without a fight. I mean, that's what's exciting about this team, being around the guys. They're talking about the standings. They're looking at Vegas. They're looking at the different games. I had a great conversation with one of the players yesterday in the hallway outside Ottawa, and we're kind of looking at the analytics of the games moving forward. Like, okay, well, if we win here and they lose here, but if we do here, I mean, of course they know that at the end of the day they have to control what they can control. But let's be honest, they need some help now. I mean, you've won the last couple, you've won 5 of the last 6, even though you lost that Colorado game. But look at the Vegas Golden Knights; they've kind of won in that same area too. I mean, you win a game yesterday in Ottawa, and then all of a sudden you land in Minnesota at 1 in the morning, you check your phone, and the Vegas Golden Knights score with under 2 minutes to go to win that game versus Seattle Kraken. So even though you're winning, the team that you're chasing is winning, so you're going to need a little bit of help. And I think that these players, that they understand the anxiousness, they understand the anticipation, and they understand the importance of the next 2 games, because these next 2 games could be your whole season. I mean, if you're looking at the game tomorrow, I mean, Vegas Golden Knights are playing the Columbus Blue Jackets. To me, that's a win for Vegas. I mean, Columbus is a struggling team. Vegas is definitely coming on now. So if the Vegas gets 2 points and you end up not taking care of business against the Minnesota Wild, which is going to be a very tough game, by the way. It's not going to be an easy game, especially because Minnesota just got thudded by LA 6-0 in LA and got embarrassed. So it's going to be a tough game. But the situation comes is if you lose tomorrow and then Vegas, of course, beats Columbus, then now you're 6 points out, and now you're chasing teams 6 points out with 11 games to go. And it's a very hard thing to do, but at the same time, you still have a chance on Monday. So I will just let you know right off the hop. Analytically speaking, spoke to a guy yesterday, very much smarter than me. From an analytics standpoint, whatever happens tomorrow between both those teams, Monday night, from an analytics standpoint, it is going to skyrocket. If the Blues can beat the Vegas Golden Knights, their chances of making the playoffs go up dramatically. And if they lose that game, it just drops dramatically. And it's not to say it's going to drop dramatically because it's already pretty low, but it's going to drop even further. So that's where I think that they're looking at these next 2 games. They're certainly excited. They're pumped up. But this is a group really sticking together right now. And they're getting great goaltending. So they have every chance and every reason to believe that they can still make a run at this thing.
Joey V, we always get something interesting to think about when we talk to you. We appreciate that. And we hope you have a great day in the Twin Cities and enjoy the broadcast tomorrow. And we'll be tuned in.
Sounds good, you three. You guys have a great weekend. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. That's Joe Vitale with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we need a fighter for the fight. All you need to do is text in to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight, and maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. I made 2 big goals for myself this year. One, to get into better shape because I already feel pretty healthy, but I wanted to really prioritize my health even more, and also to get back into the sport that I played my entire life, and that is tennis. And thanks to everyone over at the Missouri Athletic Club, I'm able to do that. I work out with Christine twice a week. I'm actually going to go see her today, and she's my girl. She has just been awesome in my fitness journey. And then I also go play tennis with Scott. He has been so great at helping me get back on my game. And that's why I love my MAC.
This is Rocky with your SportsCenter update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues last night with a big win over the Senators, 5-2, and you heard Joey Vitale. Another big game for the Blues coming up tomorrow afternoon as they face off against the Minnesota Wild with a 1 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at noon. The Cardinals yesterday get shellacked by the Astros 9-1. Zach Thompson goes 4 innings pitch, gets hit for 2 earned runs. He had 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and he allowed 6 hits, but it was Josh James, the former Astro, who did get rocked. Cardinals back in action today, 5:40 first pitch, facing off against the Marlins. That is your SportsCenter update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rocc here, and it is now time for the fight. And our fighter today, stepping up to the challenge this Friday, is Todd. Todd, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys on this beautiful, wonderful Friday?
Oh, we're doing great. It is beautiful outside. Are you out and about driving right now, Todd?
I am driving into work right now, yes.
So you get to really enjoy it. Is it warm out there? Because it was kind of chilly this morning, so now I want to know if it's warm outside.
A little bit of a chill still, but that should warm up a little bit. I would say about 71, 72 today. Sunny, a little rain later tonight, so get all your stuff done during the day.
Are you a meteorologist?
I am not, Dan. I am not.
Okay, just checking.
Can we add you to our second alert weather team? Because we needed some help last week with all the tornado warnings and watches.
Just stay inside and take shelter. That's all I would tell you to do.
Perfect. That is great, Todd. All right, you ready for question number 1?
Yeah, well, we're going to see what goes on here today. Let's do it.
All right. John Calipari has made the Final Four with 3 teams, Kentucky, Memphis, and which other program? Is it Louisville, UNLV, or UMass?
UMass.
Question 2, who is the only player in Major League history to lead their league in home runs, shared or outright, for 7 straight seasons? Was it Mike Schmidt? Mike never played in the big leagues, Schilt, but Mike Schmidt, Harmon Killebrew, or Ralph Kiner?
Let's go with Mike Schmidt.
You don't want to go with Schulte?
Well, Schulte, I know that would be wrong, but no, we'll go with Schmidt.
Okay, just checking.
Thank you.
Question 3. Who is the highest drafted Fighting Illini player in NFL draft history? Is it Dick Butkus, Jeff George, or Simeon Rice?
Jeff George.
And question 4, it has been almost 12 years since a Major League pitcher pitched a 10-inning complete game. Which pitcher did it in a 1-0 loss back in April of 2012? Was it Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, or Tim Lincecum?
Let's go with the freak, Tim Lincecum.
All right. We'll get Randy. Todd, how do you feel about how you played today?
I feel okay. That's all I'm going to say is okay.
Was there a particular sport that you think that you're very solid in?
I'm okay in all of them, not great in any of them.
Oh, I like that. Randy just brought in some wings from his duty yesterday on the fast lane. Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome. You request. And,
I did.
If you make a request, Danny, I take care of it, bro.
I appreciate it very much. Say good morning to Todd.
Todd, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. How are you today? What's the seasoning on the wings?
We just have the original sauce from Cyberg's original.
That always works well.
Pretty awesome, yep.
It does. It smells so good, Randy. Now, Dan is about to have a wing cold.
No, I'm going to wait.
Are you going to have?
These are heated up. These have been heated up.
These have been heated up. Okay,
Yes.
good to know because I have to have heated up wings. That's just me, though. I know everybody has their preferences. Oh, Randy's getting out the plates, and we'll go ahead and start with question number 1.
Thanks,
Are you ready?
Randall. Welcome.
Ready, Randy?
Ready.
John Calipari has made the Final Four with 3 teams, Kentucky, Memphis, and which other program?
I believe he made it with the University of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken.
You going with the Minutemen?
Yes, I am. UMass.
Okay. Ready for number 2?
Ready.
Aren't they UMass Minutemen?
They are.
Right?
They are.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. A little slow this morning,
George
Randy.
Washington changed their name from the Colonials to something really... What was it? The stupid name they changed it to?
Are they the Revolutionaries?
Revolutionaries, that's it, yeah.
Oh.
Question 2.
Ready.
Who is the only player in Major League history to lead their league in home runs, shared or outright, for 7 straight seasons?
Oh, my. Wow. Somebody did that? Let's see. Was it Babe Ruth? Was it Lou Gehrig? Was it Johnny Mize? Was it Barry Bonds? Or was it Ralph Kiner, Dan?
What are you going with?
I'm going to go with Ralph Kiner.
All right.
Who is the highest drafted Fighting Illini player in NFL draft history?
So you'd have to be like number 1 overall to be the highest possible, right?
You're answering the questions. We can't.
Thank you, Dan.
Kerry Davis.
Davis.
Rashard Mendenhall. I'm just thinking of possibilities here. Dick Butkus. Possible. I think I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts taking Jeff George from Illinois with the number 1 overall draft pick. I think that I'm going to go with Jeff George because I don't think you can go higher than number 1.
Question 4.
Yes, sir.
It's been almost 12 years since a Major League Baseball pitcher pitched a 10-inning complete game.
Oh.
Which pitcher did it in a 1-0 loss back in April of 2012?
April of 2012, somebody had a 10-inning loss. Dan will do the lifeline here.
Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Tim Lincecum.
All good. I think Lincecum had kind of passed his prime by 2012. So it's between Lee and Halladay. And I'm just going to go with the lefty, Cliff Lee.
All right. Matthew, take it over.
All right. Todd taking on Randy Carricker. Randy, I guess this would be a clean sweep for the week. If you win this one, you had to go to a tiebreaker 1 game, and he was a very honest man, and we thank him for that. But because of that, you have yet to lose this week. So does Megamind finish out the perfect week, or does Todd come in and spoil him on this wonderful, beautiful Friday? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Oh, you earned this too.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
Randy Carricker took you down, Todd, 4-2 in the fight today.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy this weather and enjoy.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you listening. Appreciate you participating today. Good job.
That is our meteorologist, Todd.
Yes, it is. He was killing it with the
He
forecast.
was killing it with the forecast. We added him to the second alert weather team, Randy.
We need to have 6 meteorologists so that we can get out on a street somewhere.
We roll up those
with
sleeves.
Everybody with their arms folded so that we can do that promo. I'll be right at front and center. You know.
Stand right on the side of the icy street the cars are driving down. Stand right on the side of it.
It's the best promos ever. Right in the middle of the street.
Those wings are ridiculous.
If you get hit, we'll run that all day. John Calipari made the Final Four with 3 teams, Kentucky, Memphis, and UMass in his last year there in 1996. Who was the only player in MLB history to lead their league in home runs, shared or outright, for 7 straight seasons. He had to share 3 of them, including 2 with Joe Medwick, but it was, in fact, Ralph Kiner, who went 7 straight years. Highest drafted Fighting Illini player is, in fact, Jeff George, who went number 1 overall in the NFL draft. That answer changes if you expand it to all drafts, as there was another, a Fighting Illini quarterback went number 1 in the AFL draft in 1966. So you can fudge it if you just go NFL, just do drafts.
Do you know who that is, Randy? Because if you do, I quit.
I don't remember.
Okay. All right.
Where did I put it?
65.
Jim Grabowski, who would then play running back for the Packers, was a quarterback at Illinois and got drafted 1st overall in the AFL draft. He was 9th overall in the NFL draft.
Of course, Mike Ditka later would say, we are the Grabowskis.
Yeah.
But 1965, I believe, the first pick in the AFL draft was one Joe Namath who was also drafted by the St. Louis Football Cardinals, but chose to sign with the Jets rather than the Cardinals.
It's like they paid him more or something.
Yep.
Who was the high? Sorry, did I already read that one? Yes, highest rated flashing player in NFL or Fighting Illini history is in fact Jeff George. Simeon Rice and Dick Butkus are right up there. And almost 12 years since an MLB pitcher pitched a 10-inning complete game. Rich Hill almost did it. He took a no-hitter into the 10th inning, if you guys remember, and he gave
Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
Yeah, he gave up a home run on the very first pitch of the 10th inning. But it was Cliff Lee who did it back in April of 2012. The last player to do it. He unfortunately did lose that game 1-0 though. So a 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Thank you again to Todd for joining the show and joining the fight.
Thank you, Todd. Coming up next, Greg Amsinger from MLB Network on 101 ESPN.
Oh, slap shot to the goal. And it's good!
Want some ranch for your wings? Just ask. And really? With the air horn?
Buffalo Wild Wings is officially making lunchtime saucy again with unbeatable specials. Turn up your weekday lunch at B-Dubs starting at just $11. Wings, tenders, burgers, and more. All served with fries and a Pepsi drink. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings, official member of This Bar Bleeds Blue. Presented by Bud Light.
We've got your chance to win a $50 gift card to Fenton Bar and Grill, home of the best original trashed wings in St. Louis. Check out their daily lunch specials, beer specials during all Blues games, and try their signature golden sauce. Get entered to win that gift card for Fenton Bar and Grill right now, either at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
Randy Carricker, and we go to the celebrity line. Ordinarily, Greg Amsinger joins us on Thursday mornings, but he was pressed into duty at MLB Network because the Dodgers and Padres were getting the season underway on Wednesday and Thursday, so Greg was doing the post-game show with Harold Reynolds, and that was great television, but the native St. Louis and the product of the Lindenwood University and the anchor for MLB Tonight on MLB Network. Greg Amsinger joins us now on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I don't know how you guys do this. I was up at 3:30 in the morning the last 2 days. Just awful. I don't know how in the world you guys function this early. Like you're lethargic all day, aren't you? How do you have healthy, meaningful, efficient days with this schedule?
Greg, when I was brought in to do the mornings, I told my bosses, I said, now I'm not coming in at 3:30 in the morning. And they said, no, you can come in whenever you want, as long as you get a show on the air by 7 o'clock. So I wake up at 5:30. There's no chance of me being able to wake up at 3:30. That's how I pull it off.
You know what I like about you, Randy? You snitch on yourself. Your bosses are going, he gets it in what time does he get it? No way. Yeah, it's funny, Randy. I couldn't pull that off. My producers want me there before the first pitch, so I had to be there at 5:45. That when you're walking in and everyone is like asleep and it's dark outside, I'm not used to that. I'm a night owl, and it's going to take me about a week to recover before the real opening day, so I can stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I really do honor everybody that, not just what you do in the radio, but everybody that wakes up early and grinds. I'm thinking about waking up when I'm sleeping. That's how weird it gets for me.
Okay, but one item here, and Dan can relate to this. I think many people listening can relate to this. If you are charged with waking up at 3:30 so that you can have a sunrise tea time, are you motivated then?
100%.
Yeah,
I don't have to work. I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
My wife is in the vicinity, so no, absolutely not.
That's amazing. Well, Greg, we have to get into, of course, some Cardinals talk, but we got to start with the other big news that's kind of being out there right now that everybody's talking about. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but the whole Shohei Ohtani interpreter scandal. What do you make of all this?
Look, wow. Major League Baseball is trying to collect all the facts right now. It's very murky. The information that Ipe, the translator, gave to ESPN, and all of it was retracted. Now trying to figure out what exactly did he lie about, what is actually true. All I know is my own personal experience dealing with Shohei Ohtani and Ipe. And Ipe is much more than a translator. This was his best friend. This guy was with him everywhere, every day, everywhere he went. And to think that this is not going to impact Shohei Ohtani's level of fun and enjoyment this year when he's trying to prove a $700 million contract, you'd be lying to say it's not going to bum him out. This is a massive relationship in the life of Shohei Ohtani that made him comfortable in the United States. And will he have another translator? Of course. He's sharing the Yamamoto's translator at the moment. He'll have his own personal translator at some point. But it's hard to replace a best friend, someone that knew exactly all the little details of how you prepared, how you got ready for a game, what information did you want to know, sitting on the couch with you, talking baseball, watching baseball. Ipe told me that all he does is watch baseball. That literally he watches old games. He's watching MLB Network all the time. He's obsessed with the game. So Ipe was able to connect with him on it. And it's hard to find a human being that can talk baseball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and be engaged and like it as much as Ipe did. So to me, if you're a Dodger fan, I would be a bit worried that the fun of the game is going to be affected because Shohei lost his best bud.
In terms of being a Dodger fan, should you be concerned at all with Yamamoto's spring? And I don't get into a lot of spring numbers. I don't really care. But are you concerned about that to an extent, coupled with the fact that he got knocked around in his first ever start?
Yeah, Dan, I'm with you. I don't look at, spring training ERA. But what I do pay attention to is this guy as advertised? And what was he advertised as? He had the best command of 5 pitches we've seen since Greinke had a sub-2 ERA, okay? That's how he was billed. And he's got upper echelon stuff throwing up to 98 miles an hour. In spring training, you saw moments in every at-bat that he has that, okay? And it happened last night or yesterday morning here in the States against San Diego Padres. But if you listen to the postgame, Mike Schultz said, our guys were just patient and we were waiting for something over the middle of the plate. And that literally happens in every at-bat that we've seen here in the States from Yamamoto. His command is not as advertised as of yet. This happened during spring training. That's why he had an ERA over 8. The stuff is there. But in every at-bat, he misses over the heart of the plate. And if you wait for it, you can match it, and that's what the Padres did. So he's going to really have to get back. And look, I had a great conversation with Harold Reynolds about this. It's funny when you're in Japan and you look at who are the great sluggers of Japan. Let's just say players from the United States. Eric Thames went to Korea. I'll just say since they were in South Korea, he played in South Korea and hit over 40 home runs 3 times in a row. And I know Eric; he's a colleague of mine now at MLB Network. Eric Thames did not have the same level of success here in the United States. Guys in Japan, they're more contact oriented, and he was getting swing and miss. He could overpower those guys. But sluggers, maybe there are 2 or 3 in a lineup. He's facing teams here in the States where there's not room to breathe. Everybody, Jackson Merrill will put on a crazy round of BP at the age of 20. The starting center fielder, a rookie for the San Diego Padres, batting 9th. These sort of athletes are not batting 9th in Japan. So the human element that Yamamoto is facing of intimidation, of, whoa, here's another guy. Here's Manny Machado. Now it's Fernando Tatis. Now it's Xander Bogaerts. All these guys walking to the plate. Jake Cronenworth's hitting 30 bombs in Japan. If he's playing in Japan, he's hitting 30 bombs. So this is what he's going to have to wrap his mind around and trust his stuff, because it's the mistakes in this country, in the highest level of baseball in the world, that sends the ball into the third deck, and that's what Yamamoto's got to avoid.
Greg Amsinger with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. MLB.com writers surveyed players down in spring training and asked them who they think the most surprising teams are going to be. The Royals were number 1 among the players, then the Reds, and then the Tigers, and the Orioles and the Cubs. I want to ask about the Cardinals, though. Greg, what would a pleasant surprise look like for Greg Amsinger for the Cardinals?
A pleasant surprise would be one of the young arms hitting big. The Cardinals need, one of their minor leaguers. Maybe it's Hentz. Maybe it's Matthew Liberatore finally figures it out and becomes a starting pitcher, and everyone is, going crazy about what he brings. They need a pleasant surprise in the rotation at some point this year in the second half that breathes new life, fresh blood, and excitement into the Cardinal base that makes them a team that's in the same conversation as the big three. And I think the big three isn't just Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. To me, the big three, it's the Dodgers, it's the Braves, it's the Phillies. Those 3 teams have separated themselves, in my opinion, from everyone else. And if you can get one, maybe it's a new arm, maybe they can make a deal, maybe they can make a trade at the deadline and get that young, you build around type of guy. It was Dylan Cease. It was Corbin Burns. Those guys have already been traded. If that can happen, and there's something to be excited about, a swing and miss, win every 5th day kind of situation in the Cardinals rotation, then maybe they're in the conversation. That would be a pleasant surprise to me. I don't see it right now. I don't see that young guy emerging at this stage, but if something like that were to happen for the Cardinals rotation, then maybe that would be the pleasant surprise that puts him in the conversation.
Not saying that Zach Thompson fits the description that you just put out there, but I think a lot of people are looking at him maybe to potentially have a role in the starting rotation. What do you think is the ceiling for Thompson?
Well, I look at what he's doing in spring training. It's terrific. Sub-3 ERA. And again, the spring numbers are what they are. Guys take more pitches. They want to see the ball. They're not as aggressive early on in at-bats as they would normally be in regular season ball. But his swing and miss and his stuff are a couple notches below what you would think of as an ace. But to me, does he have the capability to performing to the levels of expectations that everyone in St. Louis had for Steven Matz when he signed a contract with the St. Louis Cardinals? Do you think Thompson could get into the rotation and give you a 3.47 ERA? If he had 30 starts, this young guy, could he post an ERA under 3.5? I think he could. I think he can manage a game. Do I think he's going to be deep into the ball game? He's going to give you a 6+? No. I don't think his K per 9 is going to be 9, but I think he can be a serviceable 4 or 5 if he had to be. At this stage of the game, the guys you're paying are the guys you're going to play, and the guys that have the highest upside are the guys you dream on. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's him yet, but as we've learned over time, lefties that are crafty can stick around in this game for a very long time. Jordan Montgomery's trying to get paid for that, but you see it's hard to get paid when you don't have immense stuff and swing and miss. I think Thompson could be a serviceable guy, could be a long guy to the bullpen, and in a pinch, he could give you 5 innings out of the rotation.
You got Gray out, you got Edman out, you got Nootbaar out, you got Middleton out. It's kind of an incomplete grade on spring training for the Cardinals. But what's the tone of the national media and what they're feeling like the Cardinals could do this year?
I'm sure there was pushback on the news of Ali Marmol getting the extension. I thought it was a brilliant move. If you're going to be all in, you got to be all in. And John Mozeliak realized being in the gray area this spring was going to lead to more question and more doubt. Conviction and absolute raise your hand, this is on me if it doesn't work out, is actual leadership. And him making sure that Ali Marmol knew he was the man, he's the manager of this team for the next 2 years at least, was vitally important. I knew that it was going to be an issue if the Cardinals got off to a slow start. Is Ali Marmol going to be on the chopping block? That was going to be a major distraction. John Mozeliak knew that. He silenced all of those rumors before they even happened. And I think something as small as that, a detail of knowing the manager is not a lame duck guy, and we might have a new manager if we get swept back-to-back series in May, is going to make a major impact on this team. To know that we're all in, we get the players we want. We got the starters we wanted. We signed them in the offseason, even though Randy thinks they're a little too old. We got the manager that's going to be our guy for the next 2 years. We're all in. Oh, I believe in this group. We're all in. If the front office and the guys in the dugout are all pulling on the same side of the rope, there's a chance this could be a great year. I'm telling you right now, walking through Arizona spring training camps, this Cardinal team is every bit as good, if not better, than the clubs that are in this division. It is a winnable division. The Cardinals should win the National League Central Division. They should win it, period.
Hey, Greg, before we let you go, we mentioned the Padres under Mike Shildt. You were with them. What was the vibe around the Padres with Shildt at the helm? And that was obviously, you saw them before they got ceased. So what are you thinking of San Diego?
I really like Mike Shildt. I'm letting you know I like him a lot. And we show up at camp at 6:40 in the morning, and he's walking around the warning track with AJ Preller. And they walked around the warning track for an hour, just the two of them chatting. So then I meet with Mike Shildt. I go, hey, man, we got video of you and AJ walking the track. Let's do the interview with us walking on the track with you. And he goes, okay, it's cool. So we're walking the track, and our poor camera guy's walking backwards forever. And we're walking in a big circle around the practice field. And I go, that's interesting. Was that just a one-time thing? And he goes, no, working in the front office with AJ, I realized he only sleeps 3 hours a night. He's the mad scientist of baseball, and I got to know what's going on in his mind. I got to know. So one of the big disconnects between him and Bob Melvin was Bob Melvin is can I use the word normal human being? Like he goes to sleep, he sleeps 7 hours, he shows up to work, he spends some time with his family. AJ Preller's already done 35,000 things by the time you get to the yard. So Mike Shildt has said, I want to be on the same page with you. So they go for walks every morning when they're in the same zip code, and they chat about being on the same page as AJ Preller. That is someone that recognizes who he's working with, and he will conform in any way he needs to make sure that everyone, like I said before, pulling on the same side of the rope. Mike Shildt he's got such great sensibility. His press conference yesterday at the end of it in South Korea, he wanted to thank all of the people that worked in operations for both teams and for the league and for the people in operations there at the ballpark in South Korea that lived there, all the people that had to change logos and work on the clubhouses and give them an opportunity to hit down in the cages, like everything that went into it. He recognized it, and he called those people out. He's a true leader. He's a great manager. And I think the Padres, I know this sounds crazy with no Juan Soto and no Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin, I think, is going to be in the Hall of Fame someday as manager. To lose guys like that, no Cy Young and Blake Snell, no Josh Hader, the best closer in the game, they're going to be better. I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year, because when the mojo's off, the whole thing doesn't work. And Mike Shildt's the glue that's going to keep the mojo working.
Amazing. Greg, as always, great stuff. Have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much. And we're only 1 week away, less than a week away from opening day now.
I know. I can't wait. Before that, we got college basketball. I'm in my Lindenwood gear right now because I'm just putting it out into space that someday we will be in the NCAA tournament. I can't wait for that. But if you're looking for a sleeper from Greg Amsinger, who loves to throw predictions against the wall, I got Marquette winning the national championship. Remember I said it, Marquette wins the national championship. I had to throw that out there.
Nice.
This is me being like the intern for you when I was a kid. Hey, Greg, you want to get on the microphone? I just speak, and I don't even know what I'm saying. I just have to get my college basketball pick out there.
That's very well done, sir. And we'll do this again next week, and we'll get your champion, your Final Four next week. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll reveal it then, Randy.
Sounds good. See you later. Greg Amsinger with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. Zach Thompson. In the 9-1 loss to the Astros yesterday, Thompson allowing 2 runs over 4 innings against most of Houston's regulars. While it was not as clean as most of his starts, he finishes the spring with a strong 2.81 ERA. An update for Sonny Gray, he was slated to start today in a minor league game, but due to heavy rain expected in the area, he will not pitch today. Your Redbirds, though, are supposed to be back in action. First pitch at 5:40 against the Marlins tonight. Miles Mikolas on the mound for his final start of the spring before opening day against the Dodgers.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you about Metro Transit. One, I'm a big fan of public transportation because it's something that is so valuable, not just for the city, but also for the region. It attracts a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and it even helps people, of course, get to work. But even if you don't ride, there's many benefits. One way, though, that I like to ride is that I actually like to take it over to the Blues game. It takes you right in front of Enterprise Center. It's just $5 for an all-day pass. But as I mentioned, even if you don't ride, there's many benefits. Right, Randy?
No doubt about it. And if you want to support your community, riding Metro supports local businesses and helps reduce traffic congestion. And if you want to reduce that carbon footprint, if you don't want to put as many emissions into the air, ride Metro. And it'll get you where you want to go, and it's inexpensive and it's efficient. And especially if you want to get to work. Metro is such an important part of us trying to attract Fortune 500 companies and getting St. Louis to achieve its potential. Even if you don't use Metro, there are lots of reasons to recommend it to others, so you should. Don't let preconceived notions about public transportation hold you back. Give Metro a chance and experience the benefits for yourself, because in short, thanks to Metro, you don't have to drive to thrive.
recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Cards and Marlins today down in Florida. Miles Mikolas will pitch actually tonight for the Redbirds. It's a 5:40 start. And let's see, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. My guess would be that this will be the last Grapefruit League game for Miles Mikolas tonight against the Marlins, right?
It 100% is. And Sonny Gray was supposed to pitch today in a minor league game, but there's a lot of heavy rain in the forecast, so they just announced that he will not be pitching today.
I guess would they move him either to tomorrow, which is a logical thing, but they also could put him in a covered area and just bring hitters in to face him. So maybe he gets some work in today, but it's 24 hours difference. What's the big deal? He's going to start later in the season anyway, so it's probably not that big a deal.
No.
The Cardinals lost to Houston yesterday, 9-1. The Blues winners over the Senators 5-2 last night. Blues still 4 points back of 8th place Vegas in the Western Conference with a game in hand, which they'll pick up early next week after the second half of their back-to-back against the Blues and the Predators. Vegas has Columbus between those two games, so the Blues could be looking at being just 2 points behind before their game next Thursday against the Flames if they can beat Minnesota tomorrow. Noon pregame here on 101 ESPN, and then Vegas on Monday night. That scenario would put the Blues at 81 points through 72 games. If Vegas beats Columbus but loses both of their back-to-back against the Blues and Predators, they would be at 83 points through 72 games. So the possibility of the playoffs for the Blues, logically speaking, is still very real.
It's legit. I mean, especially it sets up if you win tomorrow. Monday night should be a playoff game with Vegas in town. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And going back to last night, Joel Hofer made that start, was outstanding. The tandem of he and Bennington has been as good as anybody in the league and giving them a chance to even be in this spot. I thought Neighbors obviously doing what he does, getting in front of the net and getting that goal. But the other guy that deserves credit, takes a lot of heat, is Jordan Kyrou, and he played well last night.
Well, he had that bad penalty that we talked about the other day. And, of course, that was not the only mistake. You can talk about that Buchnevich turnover. There's a lot of things that happened in that Avs game. But either way, I thought that was still a good game. But still, mistakes will hurt you against a team like that. But for Jordan Kyrou to respond in this game, I think that was great. You mentioned, Danny, a goal and 2 helpers from him. That's what I want to see. That's what I honestly look for in the players, is how do they respond to a bad game, a situation like that, and to see Kyrou perform in that way. And we talked to Joey V earlier, and I thought it was very interesting what he said about that maybe Kyrou's confidence has been lacking in his game recently. That's a real pressure to know that everybody's looking at you because of that big contract. Everybody has very high expectations of you, and I'm sure he does of himself.
And they got that first goal. They're now 16-2-1 under Drew Bannister when they score first in a game, and that's a telling stat for sure.
Notable statistic.
Yep.
The NCAA tournament continues today, and you can come and join us and watch it at Helen Fitzgerald's in South County. Brought to you by 101 ESPN and Bud Light. Join BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2. The Fast Lane from 2 to 6. The Fast Lane will consist of Kerry Davis, Andrew Marsh, and me. We'll be broadcasting from Helen Fitzgerald's on Lindbergh. Come and enjoy some food, a cold Bud Light, 101 ESPN giveaways, plenty of screens to watch all the games and more. Get more details at 101ESPN.com. Yesterday, the most notable game was an upset of Kentucky by Oakland. The final score was 80-76, and after the game, John Calipari said that he needs to make changes, but he did also say, quote, "I've done this with young teams my whole career, and it's going to be hard for me to change that because we've helped so many young people and their families that I don't see myself just saying, okay, we aren't going to recruit freshmen anymore." But the Wildcats are 1-4 in their last 5 NCAA tournament games.
Isn't that interesting at this point in his career, having to, because of name, image, and likeness, that he would have to change how he does it? I mean, and if you're a kid out there and he comes to you and you've played college basketball, how do you say no to Kentucky? But yet, on the flip side and the personal side of just helping so many of these kids get to the next level, that's kind of the rub right there. It's a tough spot to be in, even though if he gets fired, the buyout is $33, so it's not that tough. It's $33 million they would ask him to walk away from.
They sent that to Chris Mills in a FedEx package a few years ago.
Well,
but yeah,
however you get paid, you get paid.
I mean, that's a pretty big buyout. I'm sure that somewhere Jimbo Fisher is laughing at that. But at the same time, I hear what he's saying, and I totally get that. But I guess I tweeted this out last night. Kentucky's moniker of being one and done has a whole new meaning now because it's taking on the meaning of being one and done in this tournament now. But he's dealt with this before. He's dealt with players who are one and done and then go to the NBA. They have NBA level talent. It just seemed like that they were not fully prepared or maybe even underestimated their opponent. They thought it was going to be an easy win.
And one of the things he said last night, he said our average age is 19. That's what he's done with the one and dones before. Their average age was 23 or 24. He said maybe I need to recruit some older guys from the transfer portal.
There's got to be something to be said with these teams that are the lesser teams that you don't hear about, but yet the kids stay together 4 or 5 years. There's got to be something to that as opposed to taking on 18 and 19-year-olds that are making their first appearance in the NCAA tournament. These teams have experience, the ones that stay together. They don't jump through the transfer portal. Maybe some of the schools out there don't want them, so they stay together, learn a system, same coach. I think there's something to that for sure.
St. Louis City SC in action tomorrow against DC United, and that game starts at 7:30 at City Park as City tries to stay hot on their home field. That'll be fun. It's always good to have St. Louis City back home and the vibe that brings to the city.
Big crowd, I would expect. Probably sold out tomorrow. It should be fun to see.
And that is today's Rush Hour Reset on the opening drive. Next up, we're going to head back to Minnesota, and Robert Thomas, Blues Center, will join us here on 101 ESPN.
inside the Blues locker room.
What a goal by Robert Thomas!
It's time now for Blues forward Robert Thomas on the opening drive.
Driven by Pure Performance, the only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
Grimsley, Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, and we head to the Twin Cities where Robert Thomas is standing by. The Blues taking the flight last night from Ottawa to Minnesota, and they'll play the Wild tomorrow afternoon. Noon pregame, 1 o'clock faceoff here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, Robert Thomas. How you doing?
Doing well, guys. Thanks.
Good. How's Minnesota this morning?
I couldn't tell you, but last night there was a snowstorm.
That's not great. We don't have that here today. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't great coming in.
It was a snowstorm? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was snowing last night.
Robert, you sound a little tired this morning. Was it a long flight, easy flight, and then obviously you're coming off a big win?
Yeah, a little bit, but not too bad.
Good.
Yeah, we got in late, but it's all good. We're ready to rock tomorrow.
Robert, I want to ask you about Jordan Kyrou last night. Obviously, a great game for him and, of course, many others. But with Jordan Kyrou, it seemed like it was a great bounce-back game from him, and even Bannister was talking about it last night. What did you see from him in the game?
Yeah, he played really well. He's skating well. He's moving the puck well. Obviously, created a lot of chances and capitalize on it. So, those are the kind of performances we need. And the last 5-6 games, everyone's been a big part of these wins, and that's what we need coming down the stretch.
Maybe pretty simple, but I've been talking about this stat. You guys are 16-2-1 under Drew Bannister when you score the first goal. Just curious from a player's perspective, and the answer may be obvious, but when you get that first goal, what does it do for your team?
Yeah, I think we're a team that plays with momentum well. Scoring the first goal creates a lot of momentum for you. And, I think a lot of times when we score one, we score two, even three quick. So I think it's important for us to have good starts and really set the tone.
Hey, Robert, obviously you guys do have to just put your head down and win every game pretty much. But how much do you pay attention to the standings and your playoff chances right now?
Yeah, you always take a peek. At the end of the day, if we got 12 games left, I feel like if we have a good stretch and, win a lot of them, I think we're going to be fine. So we definitely keep an eye on it, but at the same time, we still feel like we can control our own fate.
Robert, we talked to you a lot about goaltending, and we've asked you about Jordan Binnington, but what a performance by Joel Hofer last night with 37 saves. What did you see from him?
Yeah, Ottawa's a team that has a lot of offense. They can score, and they got a lot of skill. And we were a little sloppy at times during the game, and Hope came up with some massive saves. So when you have goalies like Binner and Hope, you have a really good chance of winning every single night. And he made some incredible saves.
When you have a goaltender that's been playing like Jordan Binnington or like Hofer has played in this combination, does that allow forwards to take a little bit more of a chance? I mean, obviously you're going to get back defensively, but you're going to be covered. Does that allow you to not cheat a little bit, but take more chances?
I wouldn't say so, no. I think just, chances are going to happen throughout the game. So having that confidence that they're going to make the save is important.
Hey, Robert, you guys will skate later this afternoon, but you have a grueling schedule here down the stretch. Take us through a typical day of keeping your body in shape and rested. How much work do you get done on your body on a day like this, and how much do you rest? Do you do anything else, play video games or anything like that?
Not really. I'd say usually get like a, flush in your body, hot tubs, cold tubs. Try and get as much sleep as possible. I'm a big sleeper, so I usually get a good couple hour nap, and usually helps the body heal up. So I think those things are really important.
A few years ago, when Chip Kelly was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, he brought scientists in and said that the athletes needed 10 hours of sleep a night. Can you sleep for 10 hours in a row?
No. Don't get 10 hours.
I can't imagine sleeping for 10 hours. Can you?
I definitely have, and it feels great, but I haven't had hours in a while.
Robert, you know how much we love nicknames on the show, and you kind of have shot us down a couple of times, but we have a new one thanks to a texter and listener that came up for one for Jake Neighbors, specifically because of his net front presence. And so what do you think about the neighborhood?
No, it's kind of funny.
You actually like that one. Okay. All right. We're getting somewhere here.
Yeah, that's not bad.
We had somebody text in, if you could relay this, please, to Robert. I took my 9-year-old son to his first game last week against L.A. During warm-ups, you flipped a puck over the boards to him. I just wanted to say thank you. You made his night, one he'll never forget, and you have a fan for life in my son. Best of luck the rest of the season. First of all, great job in doing that. And secondly, do you realize the impact that you make by doing something as simple as handing a stick or flipping a puck over the boards?
Yeah, that's always something I found really, really great is, I was a kid one time and, I got a John Tavares signature when I was a kid and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So it's always something you remember and something as easy as that, really sticks in a kid's mind. So that's why we play for the next generation and, it's pretty awesome to be able to do that.
Do you try to make a point to do that every game during warm-ups?
Yeah, sometimes. It's funny. We always usually have, we start the warm-ups with 40, 50 pucks, and by the last 2 minutes, we got about 7 out there. So I think our team does a really good job of it.
Well, Robert, we're rooting for you guys tomorrow against Minnesota. Have a good day in the Twin Cities today. And next week, that home ice will be waiting for you again. Hopefully, you can get some success on home ice, too. But enjoy tomorrow, and we'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thanks, Robert. Robert Thomas, Blues Center, with us here on 101 ESPN.
Love hearing stories like that. The impact that you can make with just a simple flip of the puck and what it means to a young fan out there.
It's so cool. And he is so humble because, kids come up to him and he says, no, this is the Auto Loan Pro. It's, it's really cool to see stories like that unfold. Yeah.
Do you do the Auto Loan Pro spots, Randy?
Sometimes.
I noticed that you also mentioned that if you're going to be watching the NCAA tournament, you should stop by Fenton Bar and Grill and pick up your wings.
It's not a bad place to go. It really is not.
And probably a lunch menu is really good today.
Delicious.
Yeah. Say hello to somebody over there.
You can say hello to all of the people over there. Chuck is going to be there, the manager, and you can say hi to Alicia and the feisty redhead Kelly. I'm sure will be on hand, and Megan, the whole crew.
Why is it always the feisty redhead?
Because she likes
Why are redheads are always feisty?
I said, can I refer to you as the feisty redhead? And she said, sure.
Auto Loan Pro, Randy.
.com.
So you're tied in with them, and Robert is tied in with them.
Yeah, we're teammates. We're on the same team.
It's amazing how you made that transition together. We're talking about kids and lifelong memories, and you went to the Auto Loan Pro.
Well,
you're a pro.
Because the kid came up to him and said, Robert Thomas, you're a pro. And he said, no, your dad's the pro.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay. I've seen it. I saw
I know. I saw it, too.
They had a camera there.
They had a camera.
Unreal. Unreal.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN. We've got.
They said what?
They said, what? Next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City, and we absolutely love it. It's over 100 years old, but we never really exactly liked our main bathroom. So we decided it was time to make a big change, and we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is EMB Granite. EMB Granite's team visited our home for a free consultation, and they came up with the vision of how to really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with EMB Granite was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all of the cabinet options they had. My favorite part, of course, was picking out the new colors for our bathroom. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has just been so fantastic and easy to work with, and she had so many great ideas for us that fit within our budget. And that's what they do there at EMB Granite. They've been doing it for over 20 years, turning visions into realities. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to embgranite.com or stop by their showroom today and tell them that Brooks sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues took down the Senators with a 5-2 win last night. They will face off against the Wild on Saturday afternoon. It's a 1 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the game right here on 101 ESPN with a noon pregame at your home for the St. Louis Blues. And if you want to hear more Blues talk, you go to our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast, as we talked over with Joey Vitale earlier today, and Blues center Robert Thomas. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about?
What you talking about?
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
What you talking about?
Bro, I'm out, man.
Brooke, Dan, and Randy here, and it is time for it. They said, what? Well, guys, welcome to the madness of March. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there was a crazy story that happened last night where a team that broke everyone's brackets while also winning over a lot of people's hearts, unless you're a Kentucky fan, which, whoopsies, sorry about that. Not really that sorry, but either way.
Sorry, not sorry?
No, not sorry whatsoever. Enter in your new Cinderella story. That is Oakland. While they consider themselves not a Cinderella story, they are now the belles of the ball right now after taking down Kentucky last night. Here's Oakland star guard Jack Golke and their head coach Greg Kampe after their shocking win.
Evan is with Greg Kampe.
You're going to have to wait for that golf game, Coach, because 40 years in, you just pulled off the greatest upset in this program's history. How'd you do it?
This guy right here, he had no conscience. We talked all week. Just go shoot it, baby. You're the best. And he's the best, and he proved it to the world tonight. I said this is what we wanted, this stage. We wanted Kentucky because they're the best. You know, they're the best. So we wanted that, and we wanted the stage, and our kids came through. We win all close games. We win all close games. You heard the huddle, right? That's all we said in the huddle. We win close games. When you got great kids with great character, that's how you win close games.
I've always had an interesting mindset about that. Obviously, we come in, we're the underdog by all measures, but you just got to, as a player, you can't think that way. You got to go out there and you got to think that you have the same talent level as them. I know they have draft picks, and I know I'm not going to the NBA, but I know on any given night I can compete with those type of guys, and our team can compete with those type of guys. And that's why I was so confident going into it, and that's why I say we're not a Cinderella, because when we play our A game, we can be the best team on the floor.
And that was Jack Golke there at the end. And now I know that they're saying they're not a Cinderella story. I love that mentality. But can we talk about just the story around, I'm calling him the belle of the ball, Jack Golke, and his lore, as the kids say, leading up to this big one shining moment. Maybe not just one shining moment for this team, but as of right now, that's what it is. You guys want to hear this background on him?
Yes.
0-star recruit. Coming out of high school, no Division I offers out of high school, played D2 Hillsdale College for 2 seasons, doing Uber and DoorDash on the side to be able to make some money while playing basketball, entered the transfer portal before the season, and he had only one D1 offer, and that was Oakland.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, what a great story. And then winds up being the key in a victory over Kentucky?
Yeah,
wow.
hit 10, what was it, 10 threes?
10 of their 15 threes he scored.
Insane.
Yeah, 10 of the 15 that they scored was by Golke. And now Kentucky has lost to St. Peter's. Well, prior to that, they didn't make the tournament. St. Peter's, K-State, and now Oakland, and the heat has been turned up on John Calipari. We talked about it before the break. You know, do you want to go the Greg Campy route, who's been there, by the way, the head coach of Oakland for 40 years? 40 years. I did some of his games. He's a very, very nice man. Or do you say we're better off just going to get the NBA players and taking our best shot with 18 and 19-year-old kids? Well, so that's the rub. I mean, you either want to keep kids in or go transfer portal with veteran players, or you get the high school star that comes into your program.
It's fun to have a mature guy like Golke, though, isn't it, for a guy like Oakland? And I hope that he does understand. I hope he's savoring this. I know that he's going in with the expectation that they're going to win. But he also knows I'm not an NBA player. So I hope that he appreciates the Cinderella story that he is.
He really is. And here's the other thing. Do you think that it also, that game for Kentucky last night, brought back flashes of, remember Doug Edert from St. Peter's back in 2022? Yeah. It feels like that all over again, that run possibly with St. Mary's, or what, it was St. Peter's, excuse me.
Yeah, St. Peter's, a little tiny school with a little tiny gym and the floods and the coach's office and stuff.
Made the long run, and they were the story of that season,
But to your point, Dan, I think it does bring into question, because I know that Jay Wright was talking about it on the broadcast last night. At this point, what do you do? But at the same time, I brought this up earlier, I don't exactly feel bad for Kentucky because they do have NBA talent on that side. So if you're good enough to play in the NBA next year or after you're done with your season, you should be good enough to play here at the collegiate level.
One of the things they're going to have to do, and I watched a lot of Kentucky this year, they're going to have to play better defense. Now, that's stating the obvious from what you saw last night, but generally speaking, they did not play great defense this year. Now, did I think that Oakland was going to upset them? No, I did not. I had Kentucky advancing in my bracket. I did have them losing, though, to... No, I didn't. I had them going to the Elite Eight. Forget that. Anyway, but I thought Kentucky did not play good defense this year, and that's what kind of got them last night. So maybe this shouldn't be so much of a surprise for a lot of people.
And I think one thing that we have to keep in mind, and we talked to Travis Ford about this before his last home game, it's almost impossible to build a college basketball program anymore.
How can you?
You have to build teams year to year. And it's really hard as a coach, and I know that they've always had a lot of turnover, but their programs, SLU, Tom Izzo's always done a great job of staggering the amount of players, juniors, sophomores, seniors, freshmen. You can't do that anymore because so many guys leave in the transfer portal.
I guess the only way you can is that your NIL is stacked.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to keep kids, because you're going to just outbid the rest of the country on your kids and making sure that they stay put.
Right.
But that would be the way to do it.
What you're doing, if you are a mid-major, though, is you're developing players for other schools. And that's what Calipari talked about last night. Maybe I have to go into the transfer portal and get some older guys. They can afford it. They can go get it. And the athletes aren't going to be what he's getting with the one-and-dones. But he needs to have more mature players going against a team like Oakland and a player like Golke.
And also on the other side, if you want to hear what John Calipari had to say, this is what he sounded like in his post-game comments.
We made some critical mistakes at critical times again today. I mean, we had our chances. As good as they played and as many shots as they made, we still had our chances, and both on defense and offense. And when you have a really young team and you look at where did the mistakes come from, they were freshmen. They had performed on the road in hostile environments that I didn't expect some of the stuff today. But they have gotten so much better in what they're doing. They never stopped. They fought. We just made some errors. But I come back to this one hurt because they are the kind of team you love coaching.
I'm sure that he loves every team that he coaches, but he used to be able to get the best guys. It was Duke and Kentucky every year that were getting the number one recruiting class, and you didn't have the transfer portal so that teams could supplement what they already had. And now other teams are doing that, and that's why we had the Final Four we had last year, where you have Florida Atlantic and San Diego State and UConn and who was the fourth one? It was three schools that had never been there before.
Yeah.
And we're going to see, I think, as long as the transfer portal is around, more and more of that.
So the question is, do we see more parity in college basketball? I think that's a good thing. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that.
I think we need an evil, though. I think we need a Duke or a Kentucky. We need somebody that's always good.
Or a coach you can't stand.
Yes.
Some villains.
Yep.
I just wonder with Calipari if his mindset changes to say, okay, I've done the great recruiting. I'm getting these 18 and 19-year-olds into what we're just talking about. Now is the time to dip into name, image, and likeness and overpay for other players to come in. And the mindset of the player has to be that this guy has taken so many kids to the next level. I'm willing to go there as a player that played 2 or 3 years somewhere else because I know this guy is going to get the most out of me and potentially get me to the pro game.
He's been there, done that with the Nets in a different era of the NBA. I wonder if a team like New Jersey, who's under an interim coach and has a relatively young but talented roster, would pursue him. I wonder if Calipari still has a future in the NBA.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like college head coaches in football that are sick of doing this and dealing with name, image, and likeness. And should I go out and recruit? Do I mix them in? Do I go get the older guys? Do I stay with the young guys? Can I keep them? And these guys are just saying, Chip Kelly, head coach at Boston College, is saying, I'm good. I'll go to the pros and be a coordinator. I wonder if some of the college head basketball coaches are starting to think that way too.
I think so, because even look at Travis Ford. Remember, we had him on prior to him being let go. He mentioned that. It's changed a lot, but at the same time, I guess it's just maybe I'm happy to see kind of a changing of a guard. I'm tired of seeing the same teams over and over again. So now to see some of these other teams kind of rise to the top, I find it exciting.
I do too. But I do think that there's the 5 or 6 teams in all the sports that move the needle because people hate watch them or love them. It's the Cowboys, it's the Yankees. It has been Duke, and Duke is still alive. Kentucky is one of those. Notre Dame football. Those are the teams you need. And if you don't have one of those in college basketball, it's like a movie. You don't have a great movie without conflict, and you need to have that conflict with the bad guy to have your sport be what it can be at its best.
Jim Boeheim out. Jay Wright out. No more Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams. I mean, we're starting to talk about the biggest faces and names of the sport.
Bob Huggins,
no longer a part of it. So there's a lot to that, I think, too.
Yeah. That is...
They said, what?
Coming up next, we're going to head down the stretch with Matthew Rocchio's Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
Your local trusted expert for foundation repair and waterproofing. Book your free inspection at foundationrecoverysystems.com.
If you're looking for a new way to play your daily fantasy, Underdog Fantasy has a Pick'em product that is active right now in Missouri, Pick'em Champions. Pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams. You select higher or lower on the player stat projections. You pick your entry fee, and you're entered in alongside other underdogs. You don't need to worry about that. As long as you hit your entries, you're walking away with your winnings. That didn't happen for me yesterday. Jordan Kyrou got a lot more shots off at the net than I expected, and so did Brady Tkachuk. So we took a little bit of an L yesterday, but it doesn't matter. There's always new ways to play on Underdog Fantasy. In fact, I was a little late to the hockey game yesterday, so I got in a second entry, I should say, live in the game, because Underdog Fantasy allows you to place your entries before the game, allows you to place entries live. They even have drafts on there if you want to check out all the different ways to play on Underdog Fantasy. You can do it. It's super easy to play and even easier to get started. 2 different ways. You can go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC-ROCK, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry. That's getting you more chances to win. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCCD. Your first deposit of $10 or more, up to $100 matched, plus that special pick. Must be 18 plus on President's Day when Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consider your play call 100-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
One of my favorite charities is Code 3 Response. They help out first responders that have come across difficult times, that are injured in the line of duty or contract an illness or have difficulty because of illnesses. And our friends at Code 3 are hosting the 2024 Uncork Wine Tasting for Heroes event. It's at Cobalt Smoke and Sea on Sunday. And the event has partnered with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, USA Mortgage, Lauren Gilliam, St. Louis Estate Plans, and Cobalt Smoke and Sea, and it will 100% benefit Code 3 Response on Sunday night. For more information, just go to bidpal.net/uncork. Bidpal.net uncork, or you can just Google Code 3 Response and find out about it, or go to their Facebook page. But it'll be a cool event, a great wine tasting event to raise money for Code 3 Response on Sunday night in Creve Coeur. By the way, light appetizer sponsored by Cobalt Smoke and Sea. All right, Matthew, what do you got with Rocc and Roll?
I know there were a lot of great things that happened yesterday in the tournament, but listen, I'm a Mizzou fan, and so for years I've understood if you want to win a game in Fog Allen, you got to win it by 15 points, because then you'll win by 3. Last night's game against Samford wasn't being played in Fog Allen, so what the heck is going on at the end of that Samford-Kansas game? We just see a Jayhawks jersey, and everyone in blue and black and white stripes just goes, yeah, give them every call we can. I don't know what the heck's going on with Kansas, but I'm a little ticked that they actually won that game. I'm a little ticked that foul was absolutely egregious. If you freeze frame it and zoom in on it, there's not a bit of finger touching finger. That's all ball, definitionally all ball. I'm still mad about it. They won by 4.
Yeah. All right.
I think
that's what you got. Come on.
I will say, if you do look at it, I keep seeing the slow-mos all over social media. It does look a tad fishy. I will give you that, Rocc.
Tad fishy. I didn't realize that Kansas had bought out all the way over to this side of the state.
Oh, don't throw me into that mess.
A
No.
tad fishy.
No.
It's an egregious missed call in the tournament. Should never happen.
It's outrageous, egregious,
Oh my
preposterous.
Yes, thank you, Randy.
Objectively egregious is what you like to say.
I did. Yeah, I
Objectively.
liked it. I like it. You can't look at that and tell me it's not, unless you're wearing a Kansas Jayhawk shirt. By the way, it's ugly. Take it off.
All right.
Color.
On spec.
Cute little bird.
It's a fine color. I don't see. I was going to make fun of mascots.
You
that
ever
don't
been to
exist.
Fog Ellen?
I have been.
No.
Isn't it awesome?
No, it's the worst thing in the world. I hated
it's
it.
so
I
cool.
hated it so much. Danny, I walked in there and I'm pretty sure I got teed up.
Well, you might have if you're wearing that Mizzou shirt.
I think I bumped into a Kansas fan, and I mean an official just came running through the concourse and just teed me up right there. I'm still mad about Thomas Robinson. If I want to be honest about this is all just anger from 15 years ago at
Let me
Thomas
ask you
Robinson.
this. Did you go in with the black and gold?
I was wearing Mizzou gear.
Ooh, man.
You think I'm going to walk into Fog Allen and not wear Mizzou gear? I've been to 2 Mizzou Kansas games, and both of them were absolutely wild games. I went to their last win in Mizzou Arena before they left the Big 12, and I actually think they lost by like 15. The one game I was in Fog Allen, but
Okay.
it's Fog Allen. It's the worst place to go watch a basketball game if you're a Mizzou fan.
Oh, if you're a Mizzou fan.
Oh, yeah.
So what
They
was the reception like when you walked in?
I mean, there were like 40 of us, so I mean, it wasn't good. It was
Okay.
immediate boos.
Of course.
They weren't happy about it, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It's worth it.
But we're good Midwestern folks, and so we smiled at each other and we said
say,
"ope," and then we just walked to our seats and nothing else happened because we're just good, hard-working Midwestern
Oh,
folks.
excuse me.
It's adorable.
Excuse
I
me.
thought it was adorable as well. One other thing I wanted to bring up earlier today, we talked with Greg Amsinger, and I'm going to get ridiculous about another thing. And we asked him about, what are the thoughts about the Cardinals coming out of spring training? And his first go-to was this thought about the Ali Marmol extension, and I just want to focus on it for a moment.
I'm sure there was pushback on the news of Ali Marmol getting the extension. I thought it was a brilliant move. If you're going to be all in, you got to be all in. And John Mozeliak realized being in the gray area this spring was going to lead to more question and more doubt. Conviction and absolute raise your hand, this is on me if it doesn't work out, is actual leadership. And him making sure that Ali Marmol knew he was the man, he's the manager of this team for the next 2 years at least, was vitally important.
Is this a Cardinal team that seemed like they're all in?
Well, Mo had to be all in on his manager. I think that's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was the comment.
This does not seem like a team that's all in. Even on the manager, it doesn't even seem like they're that much in because we even talked about it. This is not an easy to fire somebody contract. I thought the all in factor was just, maybe I'm seeing it wrong. That's just not a phrase I would use at any point for the Cardinals between October and today.
Yeah, but I'm with Rand. I think he's saying he's all in on the manager.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the gray area. If he goes into his last year, that means that everybody in that organization has questions about Ali Marmol. I think what the extension tells us is, no, we believe in this guy. At the moment, we believe in this guy, and they didn't want the questions about his future to be hovering over the ball club.
Yeah, all the distractions, you don't need that.
Yeah.
And if you
Especially
believe
the
in him,
season, the way it's starting.
Yeah.
Just if you believe in him, bring him back and sign him long term. And if it doesn't work out this year, you can always fire him.
And that's them that are saying that. I'm not saying that I believe in Ali Marmol, but Mo is making the statement with that extension that he believes in Ali.
Of course. I do say, we talked about this earlier in the week. I just wish it would have happened a little bit sooner because if you have been all in on him, why not have done that a little bit sooner instead of kind of letting this drag out into
But what difference
March?
does it make?
Because there is a little bit of a difference because you already knew he was going into, he was going to be a lame duck manager. Why not have done this a little bit sooner? Because you let the conversation continue during the off season of, all right, this is his final season. Yachty's around and that's looming. And then you decide in March, like, oh, just kidding. Like, yeah, we're going to sign him to a 2-year extension.
But they never said that Ozzie was going to be the manager. I think.
You mean Yachty? Yeah,
Yachty. Yeah, I think they're probably trying to quell some of that conversation with an extension like this at this time.
And they could have done that a little bit sooner is all that I was saying.
My question is, what difference does it make?
And it's just the timing of it is a little strange.
But we're going to start opening day, and he's going to have the extension, and nobody's going to be talking about it, right?
Isn't it
everybody's going to talk about it probably still.
Well, if they would have signed in October, I don't know that they would have. We wouldn't have been talking about it all off season, which was fun.
So to Brooks' point, though, if you would have, say at the winter warm-up, you would have made that decision. Then you quell all that stuff, all the talk, the nonsense, and the things that go along with it. If you did it at the warm-up, then going into spring training, it's not even an issue that's talked about.
Right, but if you start 10-30 in the regular season, then it's going to be talked about again.
It's always going to be talked about, yeah.
I don't think it would be as much because they've given him a vote of confidence and let him try to work his way out of it. If he's a lame duck guy, then they're saying then the burners are a little hotter under him.
If after a 71-win season they start off 10-30 and there isn't questions about the manager, then that organization has big problems.
Fair.
Was his phrasing huge when he explained it? He goes, "I was looking around spring training and I was like, oh wow." I think he has to be messing with us. That can't actually be how it hit him that he need that like that's the weird thing about Mo. That's what makes me wonder. He goes, well, I was looking around spring training and I was like, oh well, we don't want this situation. Was this not a thought process that started for him in December? Because when he says things like that, it makes me think he wasn't considering it in December, and it is something that hit because things changed with Yachty not reporting yet or what have you.
We had the segment, though, where it sounded like Mo was all in on Ollie, but it sounded like the ownership wasn't.
Oh, okay.
And perhaps Mo just had to convince management, and management had to go see with their own two eyes down in Florida that Ollie was still the guy for the job.
I thought he was pretty good 2 years ago when they had 90-plus wins.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good.
You got two of the top 3 MVP guys.
It helps.
So
the point is players make plays, don't get hurt, have a team and a roster that stays available and ready for you, and you're going to have a chance to win.
Yep, and maximize the talents of your players. Teach them how to play the game properly, and don't go from first to 20th in defense.
Yeah, a lot of that, though, is due to how many guys are playing out of position, though, don't you think?
Well, their worst defensive player was Jordan Walker, no doubt about it. Yeah. But at some point, whose fault is it if the team isn't playing as well as it possibly can?
Well, it falls on the manager, but it also needs to fall on the players.
Yeah.
For sure. Both. I think it's collective.
Yep. Good job today. Great job today by our producer, board op, and audio and video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Good job, sir. Thank you. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. What do you got going on this weekend?
I have my mom and dad, Steve and Irma, in town. They're probably driving in currently for my bridal shower.
Awesome. Have fun with that.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Good. I didn't get my invitation, Dan.
I didn't either.
It's just typically for women. But if you guys feel free to stop by.
We would love to bring some wings.
Yeah, we got some.
There's plenty of wings.
Danny Mac, thanks for the donuts, brother.
You bet. Pleasure.
Danny always takes care of us with donuts and his presence, which we greatly appreciate.
Oh, that's a shot. That was a little sarcastic.
Your presence is, we enjoy.
Hold on, let's go back to rock and roll. Is that a sarcastic thing, rock and roll?
Like 6 out of 10 sarcastic.